Water tastes best when it's bottled water that you didn't pay for. If you paid for the bottled water, it's not going to taste better. But if it was one of those bottles of water that you got for free, then it always tastes better. I hope you're all having a lovely Friday night. So it seems like we are starting to make a bit of a splash here with Right to Repair and this future motion thing. I've done a couple of videos on future motion so far. I did a video on how unplugging the battery will brick it. I did another video following up on how this is going on. Where is it? Where's my follow-up here? I think I had my... here we go. Come on. Where did I put you? Where did I put you? Here we go. I had another video here going over this where I think that they just don't care about it. And now we are it's at the top of r/videos. r/videos. Number one video. Me. Well, I guess not me, but this jackass doing the handstand thing. I don't really care if they do a handstand. Honestly, it really isn't. I have no problem with people doing risky stuff like that if they're not bothering people like you do you. It's just coming from a company that's that, oh, we have to take away all your rights for your safety. No, I'm not buying it. Is your recliner of rage comfortable? Honestly, no. What I want to do is I want to get a desk. But the thing is, I wound up getting the desk for New Hampshire because I'm trying to get stuff out of this apartment, not add stuff to it. But I much prefer having a desk and a normal chair because when I need to get up and do something, it's very easy. On this chair, it's actually quite difficult to get up from. Not because it's comfortable, just because you get stuck. Oreo is looking good. I'm probably going to wind up selling this chair instead of... I called last week about a Fusion iMac. Your technician was helpful and gave me steps to try and get the data back. Love your team honesty. Yeah, I don't pay people on commission here, but I do occasionally give bonuses if they help somebody out a lot, even if we necessarily did not get money from them. But the thing is, the only way that works is you have to kind of pay some. Like I've always hated the commission model because it incentivizes people to just grab as much money out of people as possible. But then if there's no sort of commission system, then there's no incentive structure to kind of do excellent work. So it becomes very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to balance if you're not there. I cannot do a handstand. I can't answer the same question 1.7 million times. You go. Hello, root guy. Did you get a Hillary kitty to put Mr. Clinton in his place? No, I didn't. Fancy seeing you on DGG. I've stepped into his stream a number of different times over the past 4 years. Since I started committing myself to doing an additional 2 hours of exercise a day, I have needed something to put on in the background, and his stuff is most certainly worth it. Sonny is a lion sack of shit, Echo Soldier. But I would imagine you work hard in the right direction. The second part is a lot harder than the first. It's actually really easy to work really hard. It's very difficult to work hard in the right direction. I spent several years working hard in the wrong direction, and not only did I not make much money, I actually went down in money for the several years that I did that, and I wasted several years of my life, and that you never get back. This is an Audio-Technica AE5400. It uses the same capsule as the Audio-Technica 4050. However, the body is not as good. It's just not as open-air a design, so you get more cabinet resonances, and it just doesn't sound as good because of that. But it's the same capsule as the Audio-Technica 4050, and you can find this on eBay used and scratched up from time to time as low as $100. That's right. I paid about $100 for this thing. My Audio-Technica 4050 died, and I am too cheap to buy another one. Especially given that this channel is kind of in the shitter. So I just and also admittedly I'm a cheapskate by practice. So I'm using this thing because it works. Sell your chair as an NFT. You're not worried about the crime in New York City. The videos I've seen online are crazy. Why are the criminals always attacking elderly people? Honestly, the first time I came to the neighborhood that I'm in right now, it kind of freaked me out. But that was like 14 years ago, that was like 13, 14 years ago. So I kind of just got used to it. Again, I know the people in my area. I say hi, bye, everybody, and people know who I am. So I don't get like screwed with as much as the people that are like, oh my God, there's people here that don't look like me. Like that's just not the vibe that I have when I walk down my block. You know, if I see somebody still at me, it's like, hey, how's it going? I don't care if they think I'm some weird dude in a weird black shirt and khakis. I don't give a shit. In a nerdy black shirt and weird khakis, I don't care. You know, I got used to it, and I just, even when people point out the high crime rates, thank you, Christopher Kelly. It really, like, again, from 2010 it did this, and then it did this, and like people are focusing on the this. And to be clear, I'm not saying that New York's a nice place. Again, if you watch my channel over the past 3 years and walk away from the idea, I was reading this in the Timcast comments, like this New York City liberal is out of it. And it's like, bro, you haven't watched my channel at all. At all. But anyway, like I'm just not going to lie to make my point. I don't think New York City is a great place. I don't particularly think it's a great place for a number of different reasons. I've never fit in here for the entire time I've been here, but I'm not going to lie and say that I'm scared of walking down the street, because that would be bullshit. That would be bullshit. And I'm just not. Again, I can say that it's expensive. I could say the politicians here suck. I can say that the people here are always on edge. I can say that it looks like a shithole because it kind of is a shithole and it's overpriced. Like all the things I point out, I can point out, but without lying about it. I don't feel nervous walking down the street. Again, like, you know, there are certain areas that I wouldn't want to walk down the street. But those areas don't exactly have the, how to put this, have anything there for me anyway. So it's not like I spend much time in them. What advice would you give to your younger self? I would have read Jim Camp's Start With No 5 years earlier, because advocating for myself properly and not seeing being a salesman as something that's dirty would have helped me a lot in my life, advocating for myself and making better decisions. And I would have suggested that I had more confidence in myself. A lot of the bad decisions that I made over the course of my life that were either greedy, short-sighted, emotional, and detrimental to my business, my finances, or my life were made because I didn't believe I had a future. And I would have told myself, you have a future. And because you have a future, you don't have to do stupid shit right now to try to make everything right now. Slow down a little bit. Slow down. Do things this way. Have a little bit of faith in yourself. And if you have a little bit of faith in yourself, you don't have to, you know, do crazier things to try and make it all right now. You actually do have a future. Yes, NZK. It never ends. Thoughts on Destiny ban? I don't agree with Destiny on everything. I think we come from very different places. He grew up in a very, very red place. I grew up in a very, very blue place, and I think we both kind of ran in the opposite direction from where we grew up. The thing is, he probably de-radicalizes more people than most. I talk about this on this channel from time to time, ideological possession, or when I hear somebody say one thing and then I can guess what their opinion is on 40 other topics, I think that there's too much of that in modern day society, where people say, no, I'm just a liberal, I'm just a conservative, I'm just a progressive, I'm just a tanky, I'm just a, MAGA, whatever the hell it is. But like, it never, for lack of a better way to put it, it never feels like I'm talking to the person that they came to these conclusions themselves. I feel like they got mad at one thing that somebody said, or one lie that they heard in the news, or one person pissed them off about some issue emotionally, and then they just follow hook, line, and sinker everything else. Like, I have this one political opinion on the left side, so now I'm just going to go, okay, I'm going to have the left side opinion for blah, 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 blah. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's their idea. And what I like about Destiny and what I respect about him is that he tries to have a principled way of coming at issues where, he's constantly challenging himself. Like, again, how many people that are a social democrat think that Kyle Rittenhouse was a case of self-defense? Like, it's one of those things where when I go to that channel, he is constantly trying to remove himself of ideological possession, but more importantly, he's always trying to remove his audience of ideological possession, and he's not just trying to sell people some bullshit narrative over and over and over and over again. He actually looks at a situation, tries to figure out what the truth is, and tries to figure out what makes sense, and tries to be consistent with it. And I appreciate that. And I think the fact that they're banning somebody that is likely de-radicalize more people during the most contentious political times that I've lived through is bullshit. Again, on Twitch, you have fucking hoes that are deep-throating microphones and like bending over and doing push-ups with the, fucking camera zoomed in on their tits all day long in exchange for $1. You have like all sorts of people that are cursing and screaming about all sorts of shit, but you have one guy that it does everything he can to build bridges between different communities, everything that he can to actually get people to think fucking critically and stop just following every single goddamn thing that some political commentator tells them, and just feeds them, and actually think for themselves, read primary source documents, and challenges their assertions, challenges their ideological presuppositions, and that's the person that you're going to ban. Really? Fuck out of here. Twitch is a garbage platform. Twitch is a piece of shit. I'm glad I never became an affiliate or partner with that garbage fucking website. Recliner is usually hard to get up from my experience. True. Nice to see you on Timcast. Thank you, Brian. I was kind of hoping that it would be like, 2 hours right to repair, maybe half hour culture war bullshit instead of like 2.5 hours culture war bullshit, 5 minutes right to repair. But listen, I got 5 minutes. I had 35,000 people listening to me talk about right to repair for 5 minutes. And if I planted a seed in the minds of 35,000 people for 5 minutes, I did a good thing. So I'll take 5 minutes over 0. Can you fix the mic? No, I tried and I failed. Are you tiny or is your seat huge? I am tiny. I am 5'6", but my seat is also huge, so it's both at the same time. Random question, would you ever consider adopting a child as a single dude? Like, considering how risky it is dating and marriages for men, how about sidestepping that entirely? This is going to sound selfish, but I don't really give a shit because I know that I'm a giving person in my personal life. I would not want to adopt a kid. I'd want to see what I'm interested in doing. I want to see how far my DNA would go if given a good upbringing. My dad grew up broke, and he also grew up in an environment with a mentally ill parent. I grew up with a very, very mentally ill and abusive parent. My grandma on that side, I'm not even going to explain what happened because that's just, if I explain what her childhood was like, even any way, shape, or form, my channel would fucking get deleted immediately. I want to see what it is that could be accomplished with a good upbringing, where your parents are caring, you married the right person, you married the person based on who do you think your kid would choose as a mother. If my future son or daughter got to pick who their mother is, who would they pick? Not who would Lewis pick? Not who's the most exciting person to date. Not who's the hottest person. Not who makes me feel the best. Who would my future son or daughter choose to be their mother if they had a choice of anybody? Like, if I pick a partner like that and I don't hit my kid and I actually engage with them on a regular basis and I'm there for them and I explain the world to them and I'm not angry at them all the time and shit like that, I want to see how far I could go. Just out of curiosity, like, how far could I have gone? Because like in my family, I think in 3 or 4, probably more generations, I'm the first one to not be broke, for lack of a better word. And I want to see what happens. I'm very curious to see what happens, because here's the thing. I think for a lot of my teenage years in my 20s, I used to look at what I did and say, this is what I accomplished in spite of. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I got tired of that. And I just said, fuck that. We're not putting that qualifier there anymore, because the qualifier is what stops me from doing anything else. It kind of gives me the safety net. Like, well, if you fail at these other things, well, look at where you started. So it's kind of decent anyway. It's not worth doing a GPU repair on. You want to send it to a guy like Das Dude. Search for Das Dude. I've done a video on him on my channel. He installs this little chip or this muxing shit, whatever, in the machine so that it will only use the Intel GPU instead of the dedicated GPU and it'll work again. I don't do that at the store. I don't have the stuff for it. But just look up Das Dude. Das Dude sells a little board, and I don't know if he still has a service. He was doing it very, very cheaply at the time. If you're open to doing that, then it is. So search for Das Dude. He has the fix that you're looking for. But yeah, what I was curious in is, like, how far could I go with, or could I have gone with an amazing upbringing with a quality family? So I kind of want to answer that question for myself, and the only way to answer that question for myself would be to have my own kid. Perhaps that's selfish. Maybe I don't know. I think there's a natural human desire, or honestly any species' desire, to kind of have their own kids and reproduce and keep it moving forward. I have no problem with other people adopting. Like, again, if you do you, by all means. But if I were to go the route of having kids, I'd be very curious to have my own kids, and I would want to see just how far they could go with a good upbringing, because I think it would be a way for me to see how far I could have gone. But yeah, anyway, he's doing a recovery OS installs already using a secondary GPU. I see you pulled a Copass customer service. What are you talking about? As long as you have a 2011 MacBook Pro. As long as you have a 2011 MacBook Pro, you are going to be using the dedicated GPU. It's always going to be trying to use that on boot. And if the GPU is screwed, you need to do that mux flashing shit and disable the dedicated GPU so that you can actually use it, or else you're just going to have distortion on the screen and it freezing. Where was I? But yeah, it wasn't until my late 20s that I said, we're dropping the qualifier. We're not doing this anymore. You don't get to tell yourself when you fail, well, you know, you started broke and you grew up in a crappy household, blah, blah, blah. So at least, even if you only got this far, that's good enough. I think I was 27 or 28 when I learned to stop using the qualifier and stop saying, you know, I got this far in spite of, and I just kind of wanted it to be, I got this far. That's it. Like, no bullshit, no excuses, no more of that shit. Because it's just a giant bucket of cope. Anyway, I want to see what my kid can do. So that's about that. How are you doing, Julie Costas? Hope you're doing well. I appreciated your email about visiting Dubai. I don't know if you got my follow-up to that. All the anti-SJW stuff was the rage like 5 years ago. Yeah, I get it. Like, trust me, I understand. I understand where that stuff's coming from. I really do. And that's why I didn't go off on him or anything. Like, when you have a senator, I mean, when I have a House of Representatives member that says that I'm a racist because he doesn't like the fact that I pointed out that viruses do not get created because of source code, that's annoying. And honestly, when you live in a society that has been constructed in a manner where when a black person accuses you of racism, there's literally nothing that you can do other than just shut up or get beaten into submission, that can be annoying. But the anti-SJW backlash, I think it kind of like the pendulum went so far to the other side that it's just I'm kind of tired of it and I don't really get anything out of... Like, again, I understand what created it. Trust me. I assure you. I understand what creates that. I have a sympathy for what creates that in people. But I just cannot... I can't... I'm not going to completely change my entire worldview to be in a more ideologically possessed one as a result of that. I don't want to give bad people the ability to change the way that I think about the rest of the world other than just them. Do you like Chick-fil-A, not the company, the food? I think it's mediocre at best, but I haven't tried the sandwiches. I've only tried the salads. Intermediate, like mediocre at best, honestly. Any comment on battery recycling companies? I have none. That's a really, it's like saying you have a comment on clouds. You have a comment on companies. Can you speak to your time as an audio engineer? I worked at Avatar Studios as an intern and then as a technician or a junior technician. And I worked with and then I wasn't really able to record there. I did recording at a place in the Film Center building called Progressive Music, which was a shithole, but it allowed me to experiment and take on anything. I did Erin Markey, the Sex Workers Art Show in 2007, the soundtrack to that, with Rich, amazing pianist. There was a bunch of other random groups, but the type of artists I worked with were the type of artists that were willing to pay a really low rate, so they were broke, in exchange for having somebody that had no experience record their album. And I didn't really go far down it because I sucked at it. I got sucked into doing tech repair because I was really good at that. And then when I quit Avatar, I went back to work at the small studio because I thought I'd have a greater effect there. At Avatar, I figured I could work here for 10 years. I'm always going to be a cog. I don't know how to make an open source EV platform. That requires somebody with a much larger brain and much more knowledge than I have. And I don't really have a large brain. I have a very small brain. I have a brain that can like put flux on things and heat it and make it work again, and that's that. You need more of a brain for that. But so I went back to the small studio because I thought, well, here, even though it's a garbage place, instead of just being a cog, I can actually make a difference here. I could, really make this into a better place potentially if I put a lot of work, time, and effort into it, maybe grow into it and get a job. And then they closed at the end of 2008, and that's when I went on to become a MacBook repairman. How would you run Apple if you were given the chance of being a CEO? I have no idea how I'd run a $2 trillion company. Top 5 albums. Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. 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 And Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. Now, Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. Tori Amos, Little Earthquakes. Tori Amos, Under the Pink. Steely Dan, Gaucho, but not for the album, just for Glamour Profession.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Paul Daniels, A Sweet Mercy. Oh, Jeff Beck's Blow by Blow, just for Diamond Dust. That song is amazing. I'd like to hear, and Massive Attack Collected. Yeah, Massive Attack Collected for Live With Me by Terry Callier and the Madonna cover. Aftermarket vehicle tuning like Takinga. factory carburetor vehicle and converting it to fuel injection for more efficiency and less evaporate emissions. I don't understand where the bad is in that. So if you want to tune your car and make it more efficient, more fuel efficient, and have less emissions, then you do you. Go for it, man. Like, I don't know what the argument against that would even be. But then again, I don't know a lot about cars, so perhaps there is one and I'm just too inexperienced to know about it. I don't know anything about what a nomad capitalist is. Great Daft. The Maryland stuff really bothered me. Such is life. How about reading books by educated people? Go for it. Do you think they should let us make better and cleaner? Oh, I think I'd answered that, but I'm behind in chat by 10 minutes. You should try a different colored shirt. No. Black shirts, gray shirts, blue shirts are me. Every now and then, very rarely, I will wear a light blue shirt, but only on very special occasions and for very special people. So for Onewheel, a tire change voids the warranty. It's normal everyday tubeless tire. For that kind of wear product, it's just insane. That doesn't wear the warranty, and if that ever went to court, they'd fucking lose. Magnus and Moss, fuck that. No, you can't do that. Fuck that entire company. Seriously, Future Motion is such a steaming pile of shit company. In another video, recently spoke about finding passion for doing a job you're good at. Do you have advice for people who are struggling to find their aptitudes? Oh, man, just keep trying. Listen, don't be above doing a free internship. Don't be above, you gotta... Honestly, the only way you're going to figure out where you fit in is to just run out into the world and do random shit. And I spent about 3 or 4 years doing just all sorts of random shit. And here's the thing. Even if when you take a job that's not your aptitude, they may wind up having problems at that company or at that nonprofit that you actually do have an aptitude to solve, and you may wind up fitting in there. At Avatar Studios, I wanted to become an assistant engineer doing music sessions, like recording sessions. I didn't want to fix shit. But that's what I was good at, and that's what they needed, and that's where I fit in. At Progressive Music, I didn't want to fix things, but people from all these rooms would bring broken stuff to the office and ask questions, and I would be bored babysitting the rehearsal rooms, which is what I was actually supposed to do there in the beginning, so I'd fix their stuff. And then they would offer me money, and I'd say, dude, don't worry about it. I had nothing better to do anyway. And then I realized, wait a second. Like, there's 35 studios here. I'm always the one that's fixing all the crap in all these rooms. Maybe I am good at this. And then I just kind of, it went from there. In order for you to find what you're good at, you got to try a lot of different stuff. And the thing is, you're not going to find the thing that you're good at just simply by applying for a job and saying, I think I'm good at this. You're going to find it by going out there into the world and doing stuff. And you're going to get a lot of it wrong. You may apply for a job and then realize that at that job, what you actually applied for, you suck at, but there's something else that company needs that you're actually good at. You just have to find something else to do other than sit on your ass and sit in a chair. And for a lot of people, I think a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the idea of not having a specific goal in mind. They're very afraid to just go out there and just do something. But that's a big part of what's necessary. Here's the thing. You may say, well, if I just go out there and just do any random thing, I don't know if that's going to lead me to what I want to do. I guarantee you it will get you closer to figuring out what you're good at than sitting on your ass and doing nothing at all. It's not a fun thing to do. Tori Amos' Little Earthquakes really got me through that time. They are, Dindog. You don't get to pick her, she picks you. LMFAO. Nah. If I'm going to have a kid with somebody, I'm picking them. If somebody picks me and they're not somebody that I think would be a good mom to a future kid, you out. Louis, why do you think your channel is dying? Because it wasn't supposed to be this big to begin with. Like, this channel, there are a lot of people that do this as a profession, or they intended to make their social media large. I did not. If you look back at the history of this channel from 2012 to now, I did everything wrong. Whether, from the way that I approach sponsors, which I don't. I usually just get products, and if I think they suck, I do videos saying that they suck. I don't say the things you're supposed to say, do the things you're supposed to do, make the thumbnails that you're supposed to make. I don't ask people to like or subscribe. I don't cover thing. I don't go in the direction my audience wants. Every now and then you can kind of tell when my audience wants me to go in a certain direction. Like after the GME thing, people wanted me to say at the end of it that, the whole, like, there was some sort of insane grand conspiracy. And at the end of it, no, it's like, you guys won. It went up to $300 or $400 and then it went back down. Now, you guys all seem like my follow-up to that was, embrace my previous qualifiers. I think it's entirely possible I manifest as fuel for later appreciation of an achievement of heights unreachable those who never face qualifiers. I don't know. If it's fuel for you, then keep using it. For me, I realized there was a cope. I was saying it as a cope so that I would have an excuse if I didn't reach the next height. But also, thank you for the $19.99. That's way too generous. Like with the GM, how did I end the GMA thing? I said, yeah, I think everybody in that group went nuts. They won. They refused to admit that they won. Now they're just acting like the dude at the end of Guy Pearce at the end of Memento, and he just keeps killing new people because he can't admit that he won. Like with vaccine stuff. Like again, totally against mandates, but I also got a vaccine, and I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole of saying that they're bad and they're evil and they're gonna kill you and the side effects and all you are gonna kill you and all that other shit. And and going into the Bill Gates and the other garbage. I have my opinions and my thoughts on things, but when I see that my audience wants me to go in a specific direction with it, I just don't do it. I can't go that I can't go that last 10% and just do that little bit of lying necessary to become a total propagandist, and I lose a lot of audience for it. Or like one example, the Henrik Husby case with Apple. That video got 4 million views. I was wrong. I followed up on it. I explained why I was wrong about everything and how Apple actually had a fucking point. A lot of people were not happy with that. Let's see, what other examples I have? Oh, the Apple SSD thing. Like, again, what do people want me to do? They wanted me to dogpile on Apple. But Copaz, the proper thing to do is figure out how to invalidate their patents. I'm behind on chat by 13 minutes, by the way, so it's because I'm actually answering questions instead of just reading them all as fast as possible. So I'm behind by about 13 minutes. I'm also at the point where the chat window stops giving me the old ones, so sorry about that. Everything from 9:44 to 9:47 is just going to kind of go into the memory hole. I suggest you go to Timcast 1 to 2 million ago. Was I the only one? 1 to 2 million ago? I don't know. A bunch of people ask me to go on a bunch of different shows on a regular basis. What they don't understand is that a lot of them don't actually answer because they have other people that are more interesting to have on. And a lot of people in the audience and in the comments thought I was boring, which is reasonable. I kind of am boring, but whatever. Anyway, what was I saying? With the SSD, everybody wanted me to pile on Apple. Yeah, I pile on Apple when it's appropriate, but I didn't think that was specifically done to be anti-repair. I think that they wanted to do some sort of crazy new architecture, and it just so happens that you have to run a piece of software before you do that. I can't help you, man. That's weird. And also at the end of the day, this channel is a complete variety show. Reseller ratings screwing people over. Here's how to fix Apple products. Fuck Apple for doing this anti-repair shit. Here's me, fuck Andrew Cuomo. Here's a video of a kitty. Here's me fixing a motherboard. Here's here's a video on a vaccine mandate. There's nothing really tying this content together. It doesn't make any sense. There's not supposed to be 1.7 million people watching this. So why do I think my channel's dying? I don't think it ever should have made it this far to begin with. This channel should have been done at 2,000, maybe 5,000 subscribers max. 1.7 million is absolutely ridiculous. What the fuck are 1.7 million people watching a random compilation of some dude screaming into a camera as he lives his life? It makes no sense. Okay, I missed everything from 9:45 to 9:48, and moving on. Copium is an epidemic in this country. Kind of. Do you think babies are racist, and if so, why isn't the DA going after them more frequently? This is a perfect example of why I don't read Twitch chat, because Twitch chat is retarded. Do you play any sports or musical instruments? I do not play any sports. I suck. And same with musical instruments. I suck there too. Onewheel in terms of price to performance is not worth $2,000, but the value is in the development of the balance firmware and the hardware. But the parts and power don't equate $2K. I would agree with you. Man, who is messaging me at this time of night? I'm in the 2011 MacBook shows display, and I've done the CSR util disable. The issue is the thing refuses to recovery install from the recovery screen, just keeps rebooting. I am truly sorry. I feel bad because you gave me $10. That's not something that I can solve remotely. Is it a 13 or a 15 inch? If it's a 13 inch, I would guess that you have a bad hard drive cable because they die in every single one of those. If that's not working, then I give up without seeing it in person. Do you ever feel like chat is a streamline of your subconscious thoughts? If so, do you think you look for things you may want to talk out as a form of therapy? I think I started this channel as a form of therapy. I think I started this channel as a form of therapy. If there's something I'm not willing to say into a camera to other people, there's usually a reason for it, and I should come to figure out why that is and how I can arrange my thoughts in a way that are actually acceptable. And once I do that, I feel like I've kind of lifted something off my shoulders. Yes, Jeff Beck, Diamond Dust is one of the best songs of all time. Yeah, it's not We Ended as Lovers. You know, Jeff Beck's best song is Diamond Dust. I'll fight you. Don't you suggest it's a different one. Thank you, Rajat. A guy I know became disabled after falling off a Onewheel. That sucks. Lewis, give us your reaction to the Destiny ban. You're going to have to rewind the stream. I already did that, and I don't want to answer the same shit over and over. Rewind it. ZX, whatever the fuck your name, whatever the fuck your name is. Yes, it's like, I wasn't there to discuss culture war shit for 2.5 hours. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. If I went on that show 4 years ago, I probably would have been very, very excited and energized because I think I was much more of a culture warrior back then. Now I'm just not. I don't know. Like, I think back then I was really, really aggravated about these issues. And I think I deleted a lot of the videos I did on this channel because I just look back at them and I'm just fucking embarrassed by it. It's not even that I disagree with my thought at the time. It's just that I allowed this to take up so much space in my head rather than all the other shit I want to do with my life. Like, I don't disagree with the takes that I had 4 or 5 years ago. It's just, why was this the thing that was at forefront in my head? I don't know. If I went on that show 4 years ago, I probably would have been much more excited to do all the culture war shit. But now it's just, I don't know. I just don't, I feel like burned out on it. But in a positive way, because that means I can actually focus on shit that's productive. I don't know what the hell that is, Orange Brown. I remember when I started working at McDonald's, I sucked working in the kitchen, so management got me working overnight doing maintenance work. I was a lot better working maintenance compared to working kitchen. That's the thing. You're not going to figure that out unless you actually go there. But the thing is, a lot of people are going to say, I'm not going to work at a fucking McDonald's. Fuck that. But you're not going to figure out what you're good at until you just get out there and start doing something, anything at all. Just start throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. I think in our modern society, what we do is, okay, when you're 17 or 18 years old, I want, you're going to start prepping to figure out what it is you want to do for the rest of your life. And then you have to actually figure out by the time you're 19 or 20, what do you want to do for the rest of your life when you've had minimal to no work experience? I think the opposite is what's necessary. Give me some portions that you think would be good to visit. Lewis@rossmanngroup.com, and I will drive there and check it out. But what I think a better approach is go out there and do random shit for a couple of years and figure out what you're actually good at. More importantly, figure out where you feel like you add value to society. I did not feel like I was adding value to society as a recording engineer. I felt like an imposter. I felt like I sucked. I didn't have confidence. Every now and then I would, but for the most part, I didn't feel like I was doing it. I was adding something that wasn't otherwise there. As a repair tech, I always felt like I was adding value to society. I felt like people were, when I walked into a room, people felt relieved that I was there because it meant that their problem was going to go away because they knew that I was going to make their problem go away, unlike everybody else that walked in the room beforehand. And I liked feeling that way. And I liked consistently getting and becoming better at what I was doing. And I wouldn't have figured that out if I hadn't tried to do something else entirely. The best laptop for battery and good processor. Battery is an M1. And honestly, for processor right now, M1 MacBook, I'll be honest with you. If all you care about is battery and processor, get an M1 MacBook. If you want something that is durable, that has a proper track point interface, I would get a P or X series ThinkPad. But if you want processor and battery, it is M1. Do you believe anything can be done about an unsolicited sales calls, or are we just screwed? I get 3 a day. I block them all, and I still keep getting them, so I think you're just kind of screwed there, unfortunately.
Sweet mercy.
Thank you, Sean Sand. Continue reading up on how to invalidate a patent, Copaz. How much can you squat or overhead press? Squat, today I did 12 at 225. I don't know what my max is. I'm trying to get more, what's the word? I think it's not stamina, work capacity. I'm trying to get more work capacity, so I'm not focusing on that. I'm doing multiple sets of 12 to 13 reps at 225 to try to get more work capacity. What's the verdict on the latest Apple SSD issue? I did a long video on that. From the comments, I could tell that most people didn't actually watch the video, so. Thank you, Hitman. I see. In my opinion, your channel is diverse and everybody finds it interesting, but hardly at the same time. You're limited to an exhaust decibel level that is lower than the factory exhaust note of about 10% of cars. If you can't play a radio louder than a certain decibel level in LA anytime. I guess it depends on how loud is loud. It depends, like, you know, when those people come by with the cars that sound like they're farting, but they're also shooting at you with farts, those are annoying. But if you're just making it moderately louder, I can't say that I care, especially if you're lowering emissions. Thank you, Din Dog. That's one of the best compliments I've gotten in a long time. You're oddly compelling. Thank you, Son DNB. Any ThinkPad recommendations? I don't know. I still have my P50. It's 5 years old. It keeps on ticking. I'm going to do a reaction video of you reacting to reading your cell phone during the stream. I probably shouldn't be reading my cell phone during this stream. It's actually not very, not very kind of me to all of you. It's kind of rude. Have you tried fixing game consoles? When I was a toddler, but otherwise no. When I was a toddler, modding PlayStations. I want to thank you for what you do. You inspired me to buy my first iron, save 3 pairs of headphones so far. Not much luck with the 4th, some in ear. I tried replacing the battery, but the device never worked back up. Keep that thing on the shelf. Do me a favor. Jessa kept the first phone she tried to recover on the shelf, and then 5 or 6 years later, she recovered it when she had more knowledge. I kept some of the first boards I tried to fix in a shelf of shame, and then I went back and I fixed them all later once I was better at it. Lewis, learned of your CBC, and yeah, followed you since. I value your views and expressing your thoughts. Would say it helps with even just keeping informed on something I try to share with others. Thank you. I haven't been around for a while. I can't answer that question 1.7 million times. She is gone. I guess I will be answering that question 1.7 million times. It's fucking annoying. I'm sorry. You gave me $2, so it's like, I get it. I shouldn't be annoyed, but Jesus Christ. Like, I can't answer one question 1.7 million times. That's another thing that would be great about having less subscribers. I wouldn't have to answer the same question 1.7 million times. It gets boring to answer the same question over and over. What's next after right to repair? Politics, perhaps? Eli, the computer guy, thinks it's politics. So he thinks that it was ridiculous that I thought I was more important as a repair shop technician than a YouTuber. And then it was, then he wound up being correct in some sense. Like, my YouTube channel started to do this as my repair shop started to do this, and is continuing to kind of nosedive right now. We're working on that, but it's mostly a nosedive. And And then he said, as the YouTube channel eventually nosedives, I'll wind up becoming a politician. I hope he's fucking wrong. I really do. I respect Eli. His predictions are often correct, but my God, I don't want to be a politician. Fuck that. How do you deal with discussion right to repair with government officials? You deal with it by doing it. I consider involvement right to repair in my state, but I'd be irritated at the general issue of people managing things they don't understand. I mean, listen, there's a lot of things you do in life that you're going to be irritated at. You just have to, it's not about dealing with discussion right to repair with the government officials, though rather the question is how do you deal with things that irritate you, but that at the end of the day are either necessary to do or would make you happy if you accomplish something. Almost everything that I've wanted to accomplish that was worthwhile required that I do something that irritated me in the beginning, but I had to understand that what I was trying to accomplish was great enough that it was worth being irritated in the moment. So you have to figure out how to deal with being irritated in the moment. Whatever happened to your random channel? It still exists. It's right over there. I'm just not using it right now. Let's see. What are your thoughts on an 18-year-old starting an independent repair business? Go for it. A lot of people are going to think that you're not qualified. They're going to think that you're not serious, and you're going to have to work against that perception. The same way that I did when I was 18 and I was fixing people's stuff professionally. You're going to have to work against that. No, I don't think I'll ever discontinue it. There'll be a point where I put less effort into it, probably once the but I don't think I'll ever discontinue it. Because the thing, like, I never really did this professionally. This was always just kind of my random shit posting of whatever was going on in my life at the time. I think that it's, yeah, I don't think I'd ever discontinue it. When you start a repair business at 18, you're going to have to do a lot of things differently. So for instance, for me, it was, you're not going to pay until it's done. You get to watch all the work. So what I had to do is I had to remove every potential reason that somebody had to distrust me. And one of the reasons people distrusted me is they said, well, what if you take my money and don't come back? Fine. Don't pay me until it's done. What if you screw it up? Okay, how about you watch everything I do? And if I do anything that makes you doubt what I'm doing is the right thing to do, you can just take the item back. It sounds really like you're cucking yourself, but you're not. What you're doing is you're acknowledging the fact that there's going to be a trust problem because you're 18, and a lot of people that are in their 40s or 60s don't want an 18-year-old or somebody that they perceive as not being an expert or just having figured this stuff out of 5 minutes ago, touching something that costs $5,000 or $20,000 or $40,000. So you're going to have to come up with a way to enter the minds of your customers, figure out what it is that is giving them doubts, and then immediately come up with a system that deals with those particular doubts so that you would have been happy. You don't get an answer, dang. No mentions of framework. Framework makes a decent laptop. I like my framework for the time that I had it. Unfortunately, we don't have any repair services and cannot advise on user repairs. Answer of a company after writing them about a defective product. Honestly, if a company told me that, we don't have repair services, we cannot advise on repairs, like, not only will you not do them, but you won't even point to somebody who does. What I would do at that point is I would buy a new one from them and return the old one in the box. Like, and file a fucking chargeback. That's such a fucking scam. I mean, like, are you serious? Again, it's totally okay if you don't want to fix something. That's fine. To not even point to somebody that does it, like, what the okay, maybe that's not what you should do, but, like, it's fucking tempting to do something like that. It really is. Dumb question. By YouTube chat standards. All right, next. I can't believe people stalk you. You ever got those moments you know you've made it when? Not yet. I always think I'm going to have that, but never. Let's see. At what point do you think you'll discontinue the channel? I don't think I'll discontinue it.
Oh, sweet mercy.
I'm probably in the minority here, but didn't find the Tim Pool crew tasteful. I ate it, but just wanted to make sure you're not in an echo chamber. Oh yeah, the comment section on that video are very mad at me for not going a little further into the echo chamber. Read the comments in the video, you'll see. Again, I was there to talk about right to repair. I wanted to plant the seed about right to repair. I just didn't. Again, in 2017, I probably could have rage discussed, banning people over pronouns and other stuff. It just, I'm just burned out on all that stuff. Like, I just don't care. Because then dog, that doesn't work. Because then what I'm doing is I'm accepting the premise of making this channel about things that I don't feel like talking about to begin with. There are certain items that I just don't feel like discussing publicly. And by doing that, you're just kind of probing people to ask more and more questions like, why? What were the circumstances? Why? Blah, blah. It's like I don't feel like it. That's not the focus I want this channel to be. I'm trying to protest the property tax assessment for a client in New York City. The official I contacted answered me with, we are currently focusing on people with real problems. Bro, email me that. You gotta forward me that. Please, please God, email me that. I don't know what the hell that is, Morgan. I don't watch that shit. Are you guys also doing same-day repairs if parts are available? Depends on what you need. Thoughts about the kid who fell from the Orlando drop tower yesterday? I didn't hear about that. Yeah, whether it's the same... We do same-day repairs when you have something that can be fixed the same day. When not, then no. Teen dies after fall from drop tower ride at Orlando's park. Holy. Taking the leap this year and trying out life in New York City. Where should I look at apartments? Another fucking city. I'm come from LA, so extreme poverty is not a problem. Another fucking city. Another city. Go somewhere else. Run. Don't walk, run. I found all my apartments on Craigslist. That's the only place where I found apartments. But what you need to do is run, because what you did is you're saying that you are going to get an apartment in New York City. And what I suggest you do is the exact opposite. I'm answering the question you didn't ask, but I assure you, just run. I would suggest if you want to get an apartment, look at, I don't know if this neighborhood is still affordable. Like, it probably isn't. Like, I mean, Bed-Stuy, you are 15 to 20 minutes by train from the Midtown Manhattan area by the trains that are the ones that come the most often, and it's cheaper, but it's not the best neighborhood. And again, just ignore New York City. A teenager fell to his death while riding an Orlando area drop attraction. That sucks. And he died. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Maybe it's a good thing I wasn't able to go on these rides as a kid because I was too short. We operate the ride with all the safety precautions in mind. Everything is in place, and why we're doing this investigation. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry. That's horrible. If you have a kid, would you marry the kid's mother? Yeah. I mean, if I have a kid, then that's... I feel like I'd have a responsibility to marry the kid's mom. You know? It's kind of... like... If I have a kid, you know... just because I don't want to be with somebody for the rest of my life, I mean, okay, wear a condom, you know? Making more money doing YouTube, why would you stop? I don't understand why you would assume to know that. When did you inspect my business's QuickBooks? When did you, I love the statements that I get like this from people like David Lauren that have never seen any of these things, but they just make assumptions. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, what was the past question that was worthwhile? I mean, I would marry the kid's mom because at that point, you know, I'd feel like I have a responsibility to the child to make the best of the relationship with that person and provide the kid with a proper two-parent household. It's easier to not have a kid than people make it out to be. Could you be a landlord in New York or another state? A landlord is not for me. You see yourself as a realist, and why? I don't know. That would suck, din dog. Thank God I would. No swatting. The company I recommend for e-bike conversion stuff is ebikes.ca. That's ebikes.ca. Thank you, VR Linux. That's very kind of you. I don't ride my electric bike much with no power assist. I do that when I destroy the motor. I get my cardio from doing elliptical or doing sprint running and interval training. When I want to go someplace, that's not the time that I want to exercise. It probably sounds weird, but like when I want to go someplace, I just want to get there as fast as possible. And I don't want to arrive doused in sweat. You like New Hampshire more or less the longer you're there? I like it as a place to visit. I don't know if I'd like it as a place to live permanently because of the weather. There's a lot of like that. There's a lot of seasonal. There's so much seasonal affective disorder in New Hampshire, and the Northeast as a whole. To be honest with you, are you seeking a percentage of Tim Herman's profits? Now he's becoming wildly successful. Can he spawn from your mentorship? He didn't spawn from my mentorship. Tim is a wildly, what's the word I'm looking for? He's a wildly ambitious individual. And he is a very hard-working person. If I did not exist, Tim Herman would be just as successful doing this or something else as if I existed. I take no credit for Tim's success. I think that he deserves the credit for his success for all the hard work that he's put in over the years. When you come from nothing, what you achieve in spite of tastes sweeter, has teeth and staying power, and empowers you past those who always had. It does, but it really does. I'm not going to discount you there. The one problem is that it starts to get easy after a while to say, well, when you fail, well, look where I started from. At least I got this far. And that's where the cancer comes in. And most people don't catch themselves at that point because it's detrimental to their ego. But you never want to go full C.T. Wilson and start saying and doing shit that's not true or lying to yourself because you have an ego. Never go full C.T. Wilson. What you wanted, so I've caught myself doing that before, where what the fuck am I staring at this for? Get out of here. I've caught myself doing that before, where I'll say, well, even if I failed at this, that, and the other, look where I started. It's like, oh, fuck where I started. Who gives a shit about that? You could have made a better decision here. There's no reason you didn't make a better decision here. You even talked to people about the bad decision you were making as you're making it, and you made it anyway. Why'd you do that? Next time, don't fucking do that. Stop looking at, I would always look at where I started from as just a means to cope with for the fact that I did something stupid. Did you watch LTT's latest GPU repair video? This video has so much bad info. I haven't received the customer repair request since it went live. I have not. Any towns outside New York City you recommend buying a home? If you can afford it, Hollywood, Florida is lovely. And I kind of liked Hollywood, Florida a little bit. I think you caused Future Motion to make a PR move today. They made a video breaking bread with one of the biggest modding companies in the community. What are your thoughts on this move? Unless they change their policies, then it's absolute PR garbage. If they change their policies, then it's great. If they change the way they treat the modding community, beautiful. But you got to do more than PR. Again, just the way that you phrased it to me, honestly, tells me that it's not real before I even look into it. You said they made a PR move today. You didn't say they changed policy. You didn't say they made a pro-repair move today. You didn't say they made a pro-consumer move today. What you said is they made a PR move today. So it tells me I think you're skeptical of it the same way that I am. Your store has a flat hierarchy. You think that will stay that way when it grows? I don't know what you mean by flat hierarchy. I also don't see this place growing. I see this place shrinking because business is shit. And I was a dumbass and I moved to a place that's way too expensive. And in 6 months, it will be returning back to the price that it says in the lease, at which point I will be probably leaving it and shrinking the company because I failed. Such is life. You win some, you lose some. You don't always get to win. I've had a lot of wins in my life. I have had a very charmed life, but I don't see this company growing. I see it shrinking, and we'll see. We'll see. You know, you never know how things go. I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I have a few other things I want to try out, but for the most part, I don't see this growing. You called the video "The Man in the Thumbnail Sadistic Murderer." What was that about? Watch the video. What do you think about Dave Chappelle saying he doesn't want low-income housing in his town in Ohio? Is that what he said? Let me see. First thing I want to do is I want to Google this to make sure that this isn't a straw man. Okay, Dave Chappelle says he did not oppose hometown affordable housing plan. Comedian was criticized after he spoke out against project. Said he is not opposed to affordable housing. Chappelle said he was not pulling his plans to open a comic club near his town because he was opposed to proposal for affordable housing and by development. Chappelle became the target of criticism after speaking against development in Yellow Springs, said in a statement that the plan was not the right fit for the village. Dave Chappelle didn't kill affordable housing. Concerned residents and a responding village council killed a half-baked plan which never actually offered affordable housing. Well, there you go. I don't know. I think what people are looking for when they ask that is, what do you think of somebody who says, I don't want affordable housing in my neighborhood? So I'll just say the thing that everybody else doesn't want to say. Yes, everybody who's watching, many of the people watching this probably started out poor. There is an issue with affordable housing in the United States. There is a fact, again, the fact that people have to have 3 fucking roommates, even if they work 40 hours a week. That sucks. It's annoying. 100%, I get it. That being said, if you've lived in a neighborhood where you have an affordable housing project, where you have people getting wasted outside of it, or threatening everybody that walks by, or catcalling, or just treating people like shit, or let's just say, I don't know, let me just come up with a hypothetical that totally is not something I've experienced like once a fucking week for 5 years when I first moved here, where you go to the deli and there is somebody who is threatening to kill the person behind the counter operating the cash register because something costs 10 cents more than he thinks it's supposed to cost, feels like he's getting screwed, and the way that he deals with that is by issuing death threats and saying he's going to come back there with a knife to kill the person behind the counter. Like, oh my God, back when I first moved here, like every other fucking day, maybe it's just because of the time. Again, I had a really weird schedule. I would get home at 11 or 12 at night. So maybe that's when the weirdos were out. I would go to the deli, just, get a fucking turkey sandwich on a hero or on a roll or something for $3 or $4. Every single night, there'd be some crackhead there that's threatening the dude behind the counter, talking about how he's going to fuck him up, this, that, and the other. And yeah, a lot of people just don't want that in their neighborhood. They don't want that in their neighborhood. They don't want to kick out the good poor people that are just, doing their best to get by and working 40 hours a week and keeping their head down, and most of them are. But they just don't want that in their neighborhood either, and they don't know how to separate it. They don't know how to separate the hardworking broke people that are good members of society that are just down in the luck right now from the absolute bums. Includes a tier subscription model for regular customers and packages a bundle add-on when selling more expensive services. I don't know what that means. I don't offer subscriptions, and I don't have tiered bundles and blah, blah, blah. I have this repair costs this much money. Do you want to do it? I don't see how that makes any sense. And also to be clear here, it doesn't even look like Dave Chappelle was even saying that. It doesn't even look like what he was saying was that he doesn't want poor housing in his neighborhood. But at the end of the day, yeah, there are people that, listen, if I eventually move, when you move away from that, you don't want to move back to it. Like when you work your ass off for 80 or 100 hours a week and you finally save up enough money that you can afford to live in a neighborhood where when you walk to the convenience store, somebody is not making death threats to the cashier behind the counter because something costs 10 cents more this week than it's supposed to while they're high, you don't want to go back to that. You don't want to go back to that. And you're not supposed to say that, because when you say that, you're evil and you're this and you're that and we're blah. But a lot of the people that are saying, a lot of people that are going to dogpile on you for that are people that never dealt with that shit to begin with. I don't care. I live 2 blocks away. Right now, I'm in an apartment that is 2 blocks away from that very fucking deli. And obviously, again, to be clear, this neighborhood has changed a lot since I grew up. It has changed a lot since I was a teenager. Radically, drastically. Gotten a lot better. But, every now and then, there's an interesting character around. There's also this one 62-year-old lady that has 8 different kids with 8 different dudes, and she always hits on me hardcore when I'm locking my bike at the end of the day. She doesn't get it. Even when I was dating somebody, even when she knew I had a girlfriend, she would always try her hardest to fuck me with absolutely no regard for the fact that I have no interest in women that are literally twice my fucking age with 8 kids. And she would try every time. And every now and then I'd be on the phone with one of my friends and he would say, oh God, it's that person doing it again. Because she would just shamelessly come by. It's I have stories for fucking years that I could describe if I had the time. But again, and here's the problem. 95% of the people in the low income housing building are hardworking people that are kind, cordial, keep their head down, grind, do the work that is necessary for society to function. They are the bricklayers. They are the apprentice plumbers that are not making enough money to have a nice place yet. They're the people operating your grocery stores, your fast food restaurants. They keep society running. But 5% of the people in that building are going to be the people that nobody wants to fucking be around or want in their neighborhood. And that's that. Blockchain repairability certification. Technicians reward companies for each successful repair used for quality for a certificate. bronze, silver, gold. I don't understand what this is. Blockchain repairability certification. So the first thing is having a certification that actually ensures that the person who got it is good at the job. And I don't like doing things if I don't feel like I could be successful at it. And for the most part, I think I don't think that I could create a successful repair certification that would guarantee that the person who got it is not an idiot. I don't know how to do that, which is why I haven't done it, because I don't know how to do it successfully. I think I could use my brand name, the fact that this business has the notoriety it does, me as a public figure and all that shit to do it, and I think I could probably charge good money for it. The thing is, I don't know how to do that properly, and if I did it properly, it would fail, and I would wind up taking my name and putting it on something that's not really good. You said you don't believe in self-driving cars. What is your opinion on this 10-second video to the contrary? Unfortunately, since it's on the screen, I cannot click that, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to type out that weird YouTube URL before it leaves the screen. So I can't do URLs in live chat. I'm very sorry. I feel bad because you donated money for something that I can't do, but I can't click that in the OBS screen. I also have a rule of not clicking random URLs in live streams because I wind up getting goat seed and rickrolled. But if it gets posted in normal chat, I'm 10 minutes behind the normal chat, but if it gets posted in normal chat, I may click it in an incognito window. What about the Destiny ban? I went over that in the beginning of the stream. You can rewind the stream because I turn on DVR. So if you want to find the beginning of the stream, then you'll find it. All housing should be affordable. Yes, and all men should be 6'4", and all women should have, I don't know, double D's, and everybody should be nice all the time. What should be is not reality. You know, some housing's not going to be affordable because we have a limited number of resources, and we have a lot of people that want to live in really nice places. But for sure, but obviously on the flip side of that, I completely agree that the housing market as it currently exists is a meme, is ridiculous, and is out of control. A part of that, I would like to blame the fact that there's just dumb low interest rates for a really long period of time for helping prop that up. You ever think of selling and moving? I have nothing to sell. This is a rental that I have a lease that's almost up on. For what it's worth, they took him out of context. The full quote makes it clear that he objects to that the project in question wasn't actually affordable except for a small token percentage of the housing units. Yeah, that's another thing. When they talk about affordable housing, they'll say, they'll have a building where every apartment is $6,000, and then they'll have like 2 apartments at $2,000 that are $1,500, and they'll say it's affordable housing. Like, no, it's not. 5% of it is affordable. Get out of here. Future Motion just released a video today called The Onewheel Picnic Gets Better with Friends. It features the third-party accessories manufacturer TFL. They've been ignored in the past. Progress. That's not bad. Would you sell an NFT if it went towards right to repair legislation? I don't know. You just wished back problems on all women. Oh, man. Oh. Somewhere between scarcity and abundance, we encounter sustainability. Maybe. I didn't threaten to slash his tires. I threatened to assault him, David Lauren. Be correct. There is no interview, Easy K. My day has been decent, Discount John. I got a few things done that I needed to get done. Nothing is free, not even oxygen. I don't know. I haven't paid for oxygen in a really long time. Do you consider yourself famous? No. YouTube fame is not real fame. Can you keep roasting Onewheels? I think it's reaching a much greater audience, right to repair. Yes, I have quite a bit of roasting of them to do tomorrow, actually. I'm learning more and more about how much their products suck with every email. And I've been getting more emails. Like I got an email showing what happens to the connector when you fast charge it. Oh, bye. I could charge my bike at 15 or 30 amps, and the XT90 that I have still looks fine. It's been through snow, it's been through salt, it's been through all different types of garbage weather, and it still fucks, and it looks great. And they have connectors that burn when you use them with the rated charging. Like, they're saying, we can't let you idiots replace batteries because you'll screw it up and things will explode. But they give you a product that when you use the charger that's supposed to be used with it, it causes the product to burn and the connector to become charred on the board. I believe it's the Onewheel pint that does that. Do you consider yourself a catch? I don't, but my personal trainer and friend who shows up in the channel from time to time said, at some point I will realize that I am a higher value man than I think I am, and when I do, my standards for women will go up incredibly, and that I will stop talking the way that I do. He always prompts me to believe that I am a higher value than I believe I am, and I think I always err on the side of being lower value, or thinking I'm lower value, so that my ego stays in check and I don't become a C.T. Wilson. It is harder to exploit poorly written closed source code than poorly written open source code. So not sure your message is 100% true. Ask any security research trying to exploit wireless routers. My message is that if open source code was fundamentally worse, then you would have more viruses running around on Linux, and 50% of the internet wouldn't run on Linux. So I think my message is true. His message was that viruses just come about because of source code being available. And that's just like over 50% of the internet is run on open source code. A non-sponsored support Paul Daniels board view software message. Thanks for the stream. Thank you, Jim Hook. You got to pay for it in the ER when you're unconscious and the doctor's pumping oxygen into your lungs. Pay for what? Oh, healthcare. Onewheel wants to exist and be profitable. You can be profitable without fucking people over. I don't know. I don't think I fuck people over. I'm profitable. Not as profitable as I'd like to be. Once rent goes back up, probably won't be profitable at all, but we're going to move to probably going to wind up moving to a smaller place at the end of the year to fix that problem. I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I can confirm that everything that we consume every day, most of it is open source. Imagine if the wagon makers who helped the newly landed immigrants to the U.S. had adopted the Onewheel policy. Canada's housing market, or rental market, has ballooned out of control as well. In my small city, a one-bedroom can go for $1,200, $1,500 a month, and that will not be a decent apartment. $2,200 a month for two-bedroom. Yeah, that's crazy. I hate the term high value. All these labels are whack. Alpha, beta, simp. Why can't people just be themselves? It's not about not being yourself. I mean, becoming a higher value person means accomplishing something, doing something with your life, caring about your fitness, caring about others, upping your self-knowledge, trying to become a better person. I don't see any problem with wanting to become a better person. I don't see anything wrong with striving to be a better person. There is something wrong with being yourself if you're not honest with yourself. There is something wrong with being yourself if you're not doing anything with your life. There is something wrong with being yourself if you wake up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon every day, not because because you have a job that requires you work a night shift, but because you just fundamentally don't want to get your day started at all. A lot of people that have a lot that they need to change about themselves, and I don't think it's wrong to point that out. And in terms of alpha, beta, sigma, simp, and all that, I don't fuck with all that shit. I don't give a shit. There was actually this one dude that I met who was trying to sell me on some bullshit at this prepaid wireless expo, and he actually walks up to my girlfriend at the time and says, "Yo, I'm an alpha male. I want to talk about this and sell Lewis on it." And he's like, and she looks at him just point blank and says, "An alpha male does not have to say that he's an alpha. You're not an alpha. You're not an alpha if you have to say that." It's kind of like, what is it that what was the name? Tywin Lannister said in Game of Thrones, a true king does not have to say he is king. Something like that. High value is subjective. Indeed it is. And I would like to be higher value tomorrow than I felt I was yesterday in my own mind. You're being cringe Renault. You're being a dumbass that doesn't know how to create arguments or engage in any sort of real conversation. Go away. Shoo. But Yeah, the guy that actually walked up to him, walked up to my girlfriend and said, "Yo, I'm an alpha male." Like, she was trying her best not to laugh, and I could tell she wanted to, and then she just said that. A guy that you're not an alpha if you need to say it out loud. Like, real alpha males don't actually walk up to people and say that. That's fucking stupid. Can I get some praise? Today I went out and got groceries, did laundry, fasted, and did cardio, all in company time. Thank you. If you work for Apple, I will give you a lot of praise. If you work for Framework, I will fire you, refund your money, and ban you from my channel. What was it like? I don't know. You could watch the show and see for yourself, Samuel. I watch you and Uncle Rich all the time. There's a lot of people with you. Just keep doing what you wanted. You do. Just wanted to say thank you. That's all. Thank you, Metal. I like Rich. Rich is a good dude. Very humble guy. I remember that cringe expo. Yeah, I learned my lesson on those fucking expos. I'm never doing those fucking shows again. I didn't get hurt by it. I just think that you're using a really stupid word because you don't know how to communicate. And I'm pointing out that you don't know how to communicate your thoughts, your ideas, or why you dislike what it is you're hearing. So you use stupid words like cringe instead of actually being able to describe what it is that's bothering you and why it's bothering you. You don't really add much to this conversation at all. Just wanted to say that I appreciate your determination and honesty and bringing attention to the problems with right to repair and related issues. Thank you. Nah, me have truck. Huh? Big boys don't say they're big boys. Yeah, what Tywin said in Game of Thrones. All right, but gone you are. Gone you are. You contribute nothing here. Bye-bye, you dumb motherfucker. You really have no communication skills. You have no idea how to type. You literally type you are. What are you, in a fucking IM room? GTFO. You're out of here. All right. Learn how to communicate. You're not going to get far in life if you can't communicate. Thinking about visiting New York, but I've seen that there's more violence there recently. Is it overblown in the media? In my opinion, yes. I get a lot of shit about this, and there were so many people in the Timcast comment section that were going, "Oh my God, he's just some dumbass New York City liberal that's ignoring reality." It's like, bro, I fucking walk home. Like, when I was trying to lose weight, I was trying to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. I've lost about 16 of those 20 pounds. I was walking home from the store at like 1 in the morning. I would tend to agree with you, Sneeze Doodles. I would walk home from Manhattan to Bed-Stuy at 1 in the morning. I just, again, like, people can say what they want. Yes, there is crime. There are 8.5 million people in the city. There are 8.5 million people, including a bunch of crackheads, in a really tiny space the size of Knoxville, Tennessee. It's going to be really easy to point out that there's crime here. And the thing is, there's always been crime here. Like, there was crime here 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago. Now, if somebody says, "Listen, man, sorry, man, I like my small town. I could never deal with New York City." No, if you want it, that's fine. I'm going to say in Spofford, New Hampshire. I could understand that. I could understand that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now. But what I can't understand is somebody that's like, yeah, 2018, 2018, I thought that, East Flatbush and South Bronx were great, but in 2022, oh no, that's a war zone now. Like, no, if it was that, I don't see it. There's a lot of shit that makes New York City suck. And there are a lot of reasons that I could understand someone not wanting to live in this city even 4 years ago. But to say that, like, to pretend that it's this insanely transformed place when it comes to crime, that like in 2018, I could just put my bike outside and trust that on the honor system it'll still be there, and then in 2022, now I have to lock it up, like, no, that's bullshit. Like, I had to lock my bike up so it wouldn't get stolen 4 years ago, and people would still try to fucking cut the grate that I fucking locked it to back then, and I have to do the exact same shit now. Like, it's the same shithole city. Okay, is there more crime? Sure, but not by a margin that I think is causing everyone to leave. I think people are leaving because it makes no fucking sense to stay in a really expensive area once you figured out that your company allows you to work from home. Or once the business you work for went out of business because Cuomo and de Blasio sucked dick at managing a city, then at that point, what's the point of staying here? You're going to go somewhere else where everything is cheaper. I strongly believe that the exodus is not driven by crime. It is driven by economics and the fact that everything here was closed for a year to a year and a half. And once people got out of their shitbox little apartment and realized, wait a second, I have a lawn now? I kind of like having a lawn. Oh, there's no traffic when I drive to the grocery store? Oh, and I can drive instead of just like have to wait on this garbage train that like shows up 20 minutes late every fucking day and have to do this and stay in a fucking sardine can with 90 other people? This is kind of nice. I think that's what's driving the exodus. I don't think it's crime. But again, this is one of the things I'm talking about. People want to hear what they want to hear. They want to hear the fucking narrative get repeated to them. And by God, they will give money, adoration, compliments, subscribership, anything to people that will fucking feed them back that narrative that they want to hear, hook, line, and sinker. And because I don't give them that narrative in one tiny area, they get mad at me. But it is what it is. Yeah, I don't feel more weird walking home now than before. Don't get me wrong. Do I understand at this point why, do I understand why somebody from Spofford, New Hampshire would not want to live in New York City even 5 years ago? Absolutely. I don't blame them. I'm just saying that I do not think that it was this insanely radically different place when it comes to crime 5 years ago. You would think that I could just have put my bicycle outside and come back downstairs the next day and not seen somebody try to cut shit off of it, 5 years ago compared to now. And that's not it at all. I just incorporated my Mac repair business. I'm excited about it. I can really feel the anxiety building. You have any tips to grow with growing business, managing stress or anxiety? Managing stress and anxiety, no. You gotta find something to do. And for you, it's going to be working on your business, working on advertising, working on everything else, so that you don't have the time or the energy to be anxious because you're busy with other shit. When it comes to what you should start doing, or one of the things you could do to avoid failing, what I would do is I would avoid spending money on shit until you've proven that it works. So for instance, before you get an office, prove that you have enough customers out of your apartment or out of, some sort of, meeting people in the park, whatever else. Prove that you have enough business working here until then pay for the office. Before you buy a fancy BGA rework machine for $7,000, figure out if you can do the more basic board repairs first, and figure out if liquid damage repairs or motherboard repairs bring in enough money for you with a $200 soldering iron before you wind up investing in everything else. Don't overinvest. Don't buy all the stuff and hope the business comes later. Make sure that, always grow the business using the business as profits, and try to figure out whether an idea works in a small way before you spend big money on it and try to do it in a big way. Being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to say you are, you aren't. Your trainer sounds like a keeper. He treats the entire being. I like that, Julie. Yeah, that was a good Margaret Thatcher quote. How you doing? I love that you're putting up the good fight right to repair, but I know I'd rage too at the amount of pure BS that's involved. Sometimes it gets aggravating. I guarantee there are certain exploits out there that would be found quicker if suddenly all the code in the world went open source. I think it would be easier to find the exploits in shitty code, but I think that but the reason the open source code, I think in general, doesn't have as much of those issues is because it's found while it's in a small circle, rather than it being found after it's being released to, millions and millions of people that are interested in it. Learn to send the problem customers to U-Break I fixed. Thank you for teaching me that. I usually don't do that because that's rude. I send them to Sunny. I'm coming to New York City. What do you recommend I do? Run in the opposite direction. We don't lock doors here in Wyoming. Typically, the wildlife doesn't break in and enter. Sometimes they do get hungry, though, so never say never. iPhone, twice the money and half as effective. Apple is one of the few companies that makes a phone that fits in my hand. So back to what Lewis said, people are leaving big cities, including New York City, because they're at the breaking point, not because of crime. Yeah, again, I think crime is a small contributor, but I really think the rest is economics and the realization when you leave that there really isn't a carrot bringing them back. Have you ever been to Europe? I went to Germany on my way to Dubai. Actually, no, I went on to Germany on my way back to Dubai, but I stayed in the airport. Far from North Carolina. I didn't realize New York City had so many issues, so I started watching your videos. But like a good amount of people, I stay in my bubble anyway. I've been in North Carolina a couple of times. Mostly to Lumberton, though. Not the biggest fan of Lumberton. So one of the only things I praise Biden on whatever happened with the executive order on right to repair. They just commissioned and developed the legislation. He asked the FTC to create rules. I hired an attorney to go over all the things I've talked about in this channel for the past 10 years and turn them into legal arguments as to why the FTC has the authority and the power to create rules specifically based on what I've talked about on here for the past 10 years to pretty much convert Lewis angry yelling into a camera into here is the prim and proper, fully cited, legal, scholarly version of everything here. And what is it that Thomas Sowell said in that interview on Uncommon Knowledge? You know, he said he spoke to somebody from the government in the 1950s, and to this day I patiently await their reply. so there's that. You know, to this day I patiently await the reply. You know, hopefully I'm not 90 years old like Thomas Sowell when I'm repeating that. We'll see. I laugh so I don't cry. What would you say to someone who lacks confidence and has a hard time moving on with their life and can't find a way to fit in? You got to find something that you're good at and use that. I don't know. I don't think I'm a confident person in most aspects of my life. I was really good at fixing studio gear. I was really good at what I did. I was damn good at what I did. I was good at walking into a room where people were pissed off and shit wasn't working and figuring out how to make it work and making people happy again. Would you ever consider starting a podcast? Yes, I started a podcast about 10 years ago, and you can find it on youtube.com/Rossmann Group. I put a URL in the chat for anybody who's curious. youtube.com/Rossmann Group for anybody who's not there. Thank you, Nikki, for the $2. I need to plug in my Apple. This reminds me, I never used the thing. Oreo? Oreo is not here right now. To be fair, I've lived in several cities before moving here, so I lock everything. Most people here don't. Guns stop crime. I think a big part of it is you have a giant state that only has 600,000 or 700,000 people. Only 46 live viewers do better Twitch. Twitch do better. Nah, it's not Twitch that has to do better. It's me that has to do better. Funny story. When I had 40,000 subscribers and I would do a random chair live stream, I used to get 600 live viewers with 40,000 subscribers back in 2016. With 1.7 million subscribers, I get 506 viewers. That's sad. That's sad. But I don't care about the live view count here. If I were to stare at that and care about it, I'd look like a Zoloft blob. You all need to chill with not locking doors. I think the reason he's saying that he locks his doors is because he has his full first and last name in his YouTube moniker. So if he were to say he doesn't lock his doors, it'd probably be easy for somebody to come by and do something about it. If guns stop crime, why do so many criminals have guns? I think that's kind of like asking if oncologists stop cancer, then why do so many people die of cancer? Do New York City officials fear you and your YouTube channel? No, I think they laugh at me and my YouTube channel. If they even notice my YouTube channel exists. I mostly think they laugh at me. I wonder if Lewis could waive image rights to Mr. Clinton if all proceeds go to right to repair. Mr. Clinton has made me... Honestly, he's had some of the best videos in this channel. The year Destiny was banned off Twitch. Also, be interesting conversation here. You talk about him, about the topics of lockdown lobby, and we consider going on again. Yeah, sure, I'd love to go on. But he's usually discussing things that are much more interesting than right to repair to his audience. That I don't want to destroy his channel or his audience by having discussions with him about shit that they're going to find boring and fuck up what he's doing. But also, if you want to hear what I thought of his Twitch ban, you can rewind the stream to the beginning because I discussed it there. I am not happy with Twitch for the ban that they did. He's one of the few people that's really doing a lot of work to build bridges between people of different communities, actually get them talking to one another, and de-radicalize people. And when you have a platform that's obsessed with, fucking twerking and like shit that's damn near softcore porn and people cursing at each other and saying all sorts of horrible shit, and he's on there doing a lot of good work. And like if they're banning people like that doing that type of intellectual content, it says a lot about Twitch as a shithole platform. Got to keep them kitties fed so they stop meowing during your videos. Thank you, Pseudo It Yourself. And he had 4 fucking cans of food that day and greenies. What you do creates bad posture. Incorrect. Let's see. Why are you so tan? Been to a beach lately? Yes, I went to a beach in Dubai, and I also went to the National Mall to see a bunch of tractors and speak with some politicians, and there was a lot of sun out there, so I got a lot of sunburn. Most of this wasn't from the beach in Dubai, because when I went to the beach, I put on suntan lotion, but I did not put any suntan lotion on while I was talking to politicians. Is there anything I can do as an American phone salesman? We don't do repairs, but we do sell insurance, and it gives us a little bit of money. I don't know. I've always thought insurance is a massive scam. I don't think you radicalized them, dot pwn. I don't think you've watched his stuff. What happens when little earthquakes have gotten you through difficult times in your life? Little earthquakes. And under the pink as well. I'm calling bullshit. My cat has food and water and pets and love and is always meowing. A few weeks ago, A.M. A few weeks ago. I do not accept alternative currency, TAS. Too volatile. Looks like 60K this week, 30K next week. I'm not, no. Love your videos. Strongly agree with right to repair. I hope your endeavors pay off. What do you think is the strongest force that should manufacture away from programmed obsolescence towards quality? I think it is when people that grew up watching channels like this, people who grew up watching channels like iPad Rehab, STS Telecom, Jesse Cruz, Tim Herman, who got into this from repairs, start their own companies or become the majority of the workforce at these companies. When that happens, it will organically, from the ground up, bottom up, become a movement that matters and that is impossible to ignore. It's kind of like with marijuana. Like, you know, when kids that grew up around people smoking marijuana that realize that it's not evil get older and then they become prosecutors. Like when there's 5 things on their desk, you know, robbed a grocery store, beat an old lady, you know, sold a dime bag. And it's like, okay, I only have time to prosecute 2 of these today. Okay, I'm just going to pretend that, like, and he just puts the shit, you know, the kid with the dime bag through a paper shredder. Like that kind of thing. I had a dream that I went on a date with you, Linus, and Marquez Brownlee at the same time all night long. I'll take your dollar. I'll take your dollar. Destiny pulled his entire viewership far left, and when they got more left than him, he's tried reeling them back in. I don't think he pulled his viewership far left, and I also think that people grow as human beings as they get older. I think the rest of the world kind of went into batshit crazy, and he just didn't follow them into batshit crazy. But above all, I think it's natural that people are going to change over time. Not to be a knockoff Joe Rogan, what is your opinion of the afterlife and the fabric of our existence? I don't have one. I don't have one. You think that young people can't afford real assets because they blow all their savings on Apple? A lot of young people can't afford real assets because they're insanely expensive. However, what I've noticed is that when people look at the fact that real assets or housing and stuff like that is very expensive, what they do is they tell themselves, I'm never going to be able to have that, so I might as well just enjoy the moment. And I see them do things like rent or lease vehicles that they cannot afford. Or buy jewelry that they can't afford, live in expensive luxury apartments they can't afford, and buy excess shit that they can't afford, and then they wind up turning it into a self-fulfilling prophecy where if they had done the right thing and just saved and slowly, you know, dollar cost averaged into an index fund over 10 or 15 years and just slowly sacked money away and done everything, they actually could have afforded some of that stuff, but now they can't because they blew it all. Alex's destiny is right-wing lol. I don't think that's true. He's righter than the Twitch communists, but that's not really right-wing. Here's another good plan of take for you. Dell has changed its Kensington locks to a slightly different wedge shape lock, serving the exact same purpose, but now you need to lock the same company creating a framework type repairable system. So how is that a good for planet take? They changed the lock to a slightly different shape, serving the same purpose, but now you need a new lock. The same company creating a framework type system. I don't think they're creating a framework type system. I think they created a potential thing that they're going to do up to anywhere from now to 10 years from now, which seems like just something for PR. It seems like what's the word I'm looking for? It seems like, what's the word I'm looking for? it's like a concept car, but it's not really something that they're going to actually produce. It's just something they're talking about potentially producing in the future, very vaguely. What's your opinion of ThinkPads for video editing of old VHS? Should I get a 1 terabyte SSD or can I get away with 512? I have no clue. That's like saying how long is a piece of string. No idea. For graphics card, integrated Intel Iris, okay. I mean, if you're editing fucking VHS, that's so low resolution that Iris will be fine. In terms of the size, I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. That's like asking, should I get a 34 waist or 36 waist without me ever having seen you or measured it. Like, I don't know how much video you have. But when it comes to the graphics, if you're editing VHS, dude, Iris is more than enough. That's fine. What do you think of Steam Deck? I've never tried one. But I like the idea that they are... I like the fact that they're open to making repair parts available. I don't know if they actually made them available affordably. And if they did not make schematics available, then I probably won't be offering repairs for it. Again, for the work that I do, I need schematics. So either A, the company needs to make it available, or B, the product needs to be so popular that somebody leaks the schematic or makes it worth their while for somebody at the company to accidentally lose a flash drive with the schematic. I'm not blindly going around a board. Like, fuck that. And to be clear, does it mean that you can't do it? No. I mean, you can do a repair without a schematic if you're willing to put in 300 hours in and guess everything, but for a device that I'm going to get twice a year, I'm not doing... Like, I can't invest that amount of time for something I'm going to fix once or twice, you know? The way that I make my business successful, with the salaries that I pay my staff, the rent that I have in the overhead, shit needs to get in, shit needs to get out, shit needs to get billed, and that's that. Like, I don't have the luxury of being able to put 100 or 200 hours in for a product that I'm going to fix once or twice. So either somebody needs to leak the schematic, or the company needs to make it available to me. Or otherwise, the only way it's worth it is if I'm going to get like hundreds of them a month. Then maybe. But otherwise, no. I had a JVC Super VHS VCR, Party Banza, in the late 90s, early 2000s. Agreed about the schematics need. Tried fixing an Xbox One X. It took 2.5 hours to get to the point where it was determined as dead PCH. Yeah, fuck that. Again, if it's a product I'm going to get 200 to 500 times a month, I'll torture myself a little bit. If it's a product I'm going to get once a year, I'm not putting 100 hours or something in to try to figure out what everything is without a schematic. Like, no. Rusty Robinson, there's a lot of other reasons that gas prices are higher than Biden. If you were actually paying attention, either Chevron or Exxon's 10Qs from 2020 before Biden won the election, before he won, they were saying that because of the amount of debt that they went in as a result of oil prices plummeting and going negative, that they were going to be focusing less on capital expenditure and more on returning profits to shareholders and also on paying down their debt. Now, how are they going to focus on returning capital to shareholders? Which, by the way, they never lowered their dividend even when oil went negative. And how are they going to pay down all their debt? By not putting money in a capital expenditure. What happens when you put less money in a capital expenditure? You have less going out there and less drilling. You have less looking for new sites. You have less exploration to figure out where oil is. And if you have less of that, less capital expenditure, then you're going to have lower supply. Now, further, when you combine lower supply as a result of lower capital expenditure before Biden got elected, combined with the fact combined with the fact that there was an increase in demand because people had stayed inside for an entire fucking year and were going stir crazy, you have high prices. Now, one thing that I also found particularly interesting, oil prices began to drop miraculously between July 3rd and July 19th of 2021. You'll notice that crude oil just absolutely went off a fucking cliff from July 3rd to July 19th in 2021. The reason for that is because members of OPEC were in a spat. I forget the specific country, but they wanted a higher quota. And they wanted a higher quota. They weren't getting their higher quota. And they were kind of posturing like, fuck this, we're leaving OPEC if we don't get to have a higher quota. We want to pump more because pumping more means making more money. But OPEC was very concerned with the price of oil continuing to stay steady and go up, so we never fucking have a negative oil price again, especially since Delta was breaking out at that time and we didn't know where Delta was going to go. Now, they wound up negotiating a mildly higher quota for them. Now, here's the and when the quota, while this was happening, while Biden was president, the oil prices were tanking because this is based on emotion, not the actual output. But more importantly, when the higher quotas were instituted for several different countries in OPEC, here's something that's very interesting. Many of those countries were not able to pump even to the quota that they had, and that quota was based on a limiting of what they were pumping before 2017, 18, 19, and early 2020, where it's just drill, baby, drill. So you had a quota that they were not even able to reach for months. Like, they were pumping less oil than they were allowed to. They want to pump more oil because they want to make more money. So the fact that you just shut down a bunch of producers in the world for several months and they just weren't producing, you can't just turn that shit back on like a light switch. But further, when you do actually get some of those producers turned back on, you bet your ass they are going to do everything they can to make as much fucking money off of their current reserves. And if they've added 20 or 30 billion dollars of debt during the pandemic, you bet your ass they are not going to invest money in capital expenditure. They're going to be looking to pay back that debt. Now, did postponing the Keystone XL pipeline or getting rid of the Keystone XL pipeline, is this a good thing? Not really. I wasn't for that. Is not drilling on federal lands a good thing? No, that's not a good thing. I'm not for that. But the price of oil going from like $50 up to 130, that's not Biden. Okay, maybe going from 50 to 70, fine, Biden. 50 to 75, maybe. I would say that's a stretch because, again, this is a worldwide market we're talking about. But 50 to 130? That's not Biden. And one of the things that drives me nuts is people used to blame Trump for everything because they hated him and because he would say stupid shit on Twitter. And because of that, people in New York City blamed Trump for literally every bad thing that happened in the world, even though he wasn't responsible for every bad thing that happened in the world. He said stupid shit, he did stupid shit, but he's not the reason everything in the world happened. And those same people that were really, really mad when everybody would try to blame Trump for everything, regardless of what was the truth or reality, are now claiming that Biden is the reason that gas went from 50 to 130 with absolutely no nuance of anything. Now, do I think that he's helping shit? No. And does it piss me off that he's not really, that he's looking to place blame everywhere else rather than just say, listen, shit sucks. Here's why it sucks. Here's what we're doing about it. Sorry. Yes, that aggravates me. When Biden goes out there and says that the price, don't worry about inflation in July 4th, cheese is like 3 cents cheaper this year than last year, it makes me want to take this metal bottle and throw it at his fucking head. Actually, this is not a metal bottle. This is a plastic one. I want to find a metal bottle and throw it at his fucking head. That pisses me off. That's annoying. That's aggravating. 100% that's aggravating. But the idea that Biden is the reason that that a barrel of oil went from $50 to $130 for a short period of time, I think that that's just completely ignoring reality. It's completely ignoring the facts. And if you're from the Destiny raid, please go back about 2 or 3 minutes to get context. We were discussing, somebody said that if you voted for Biden, you owe me gas money. Well, I dislike Biden as a president. I was explaining about 10 minutes of oil history over the past 2 years and why I thought that was not true. My chat has been completely and utterly fucking destroyed by a Destiny raid. Wow. Look at my, okay. What is this? What is this? Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow. There is no chat left. Fuck me. Destiny, what'd you do to me? Jesus Christ. I can't read chat at all. Every single thing in my chat is gone. Every single thing, every single message is literally gone. Wow. Okay. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I give up. You win. You guys win. You win. I cave. I don't know what to do. What do I do here? Jeez. Okay, I guess that's that. I don't know how. I'm not a professional streamer. I don't know what you're supposed to do here. Oh, man. This is funny. Okay, so if anybody was... Anyway, if anybody from the raid wants to know, if you rewind the stream about 7 minutes, you'll hear me describing why I do not blame Biden for the giant increase in oil. Again, if you want to say that he's why it went from 50 to 70, whatever. If you want to say he's why you went from 50 to 130, that's just disingenuous. And you're honestly doing what you were pissed off at people doing to Trump for 4 years. And now I understand people saying, listen, they did it to us. Fuck it. We'll do it to them. But you got to, no, I don't know. Okay. I can't answer any questions anymore because I don't have a chat anymore. Oh man, there's nothing here. What do I do? Sweet fucking mercy indeed, Chris Bacon. I'm gonna get you mofo. Is his stream still live? You mother. He's still here. Where'd you go? You? Are you still alive? I'm gonna get you. Okay, he finished his damn stream. Damn it. Alright. Oh well. I missed he got me. Let's see. Paul Daniel says slow chat. We'll stop it. All right, let's figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. How do I do slow chat? I'm gonna slow you down, you Taliban fucks. Super chat only time. PS. Okay, here we go. Manage moderators. No, I don't have a button here for that. I have manage moderators, participants, toggle timestamps, send feedback. Where is slow chat? How do I do that? 1 second. I'm a fucking noob. I don't know how to figure this out. I'm going to hit edit. Maybe I hit edit and it'll be there. Playlist, audience, age restriction, captions, license, distribution, recording date, comments. Wow. Oh, here we go. Slow mode. Okay, you gotta wait 20 seconds in between sending messages, you freaking... Yeah, sure, we'll make it 30 seconds. There we go. Slow mode. There we go. What do you think about transgender people playing sports? Until the technology exists to where when you transition from male to female or female to male, it is exactly as if you had grown up biologically that gender, I think it's kind of unfair. It's weird when, you see somebody that grew up with the bone structure and everything else of a male with it, with testosterone and everything else, who transitions into becoming a female and becomes a boxer. That's just, or, a UFC fighter or something, I don't know, fighter or whatever. That's just kind of weird to me. Like, I don't care about the rest of it. I don't mind calling you by whatever pronoun you choose as long as you're not an asshole. I don't, that's like, again, I don't lose my mind over all that stuff, but if you're going to become a boxer, I don't know, it's just kind of weird to me. It's also interesting to me that a lot of the every time I see that happen, it's somebody who was born a biological male transitioning to female that competes in female sports. How often does that happen the other way around? I don't see that happening as often the other way around. Now, granted, that's because you have more people transitioning from male to female than the other way around. But I don't see a lot of biological females that transitioned into becoming transgender males entering, male wrestling or whatever. Like, I just don't see that. I don't think that's a take from somebody else. I think that's most people's opinion that they're just afraid to say out loud. Like, really, I had a transgender person come into the store 4 or 5 years ago. I'm never going to forget this. And, in my head, Mr. Clinton's doing very well. I uploaded a video of him yesterday. Steve is taking good care of him. Steve is taking very good care of him. And my mailman walks in, and he's looking at this transgender person like, and I had a talk with him, with the mailman afterwards. It's like, never fucking do that again. Don't come into my store if you're going to do that shit. Get the fuck, like, seriously, this person is here to give me money. I use that money to ship out the products that pay your fucking salary, and you're being an asshole? Do you think that this person who just walked in has not been made fun of before? Do you think that high school didn't suck balls for them? Do you think that junior high school wasn't miserable for them already? Do you think you're the first person to fucking do that? What are you contributing to the situation by being an asshole? Nothing. That mailman was actually a piece of shit. He lost all my packages. He lost an ultrasonic cleaner by not scanning it in that I could never get them to pay for because he never fucking scanned it. And he wound up having a heart attack the next week and quit. So I don't know. But anyway, now when the person walked in, the first thought in my head, which is probably going to get me deleted off YouTube, was, this is a man in a dress. But here's the thing. That person was kind to me. They were polite to me. They were very, very nice. very respectful of my business and its employees. They had a problem with their product. They wanted to pay me to fix the fucking product. What does it... Yeah, why not? Obama can play whatever sport he wants. What benefit is it to me to be an asshole? Like, this person wants me to fix their product. I want this person to have a great experience with me fixing their product and to give me a 5-star review online and to be happy. Like, what do I gain in that moment by saying that shit? Like, yeah, okay, the first thing that came into my head was that looks like a man in a dress. But when I see somebody walk by that's ugly, that's like 300 pounds, do I just look at them and go, oh, you're fat and ugly? Like, no, I don't do that because there's no fucking point to it, you know? Like, here's the thing that I don't get. A lot of people will say out loud, well, you know, like, I'm not going to pretend that your reality is my reality just to make you happy because I'm an alpha male. And it's like, but honestly, part of being an alpha male, in my opinion, just being a decent human being, is just realizing that there are times where there's just no benefit to being an asshole. Like, if somebody walks by me that's 350 pounds, there's really no benefit to me to saying, you're a fat fuck, you know? If somebody comes in that is wearing a dress and to me looks like a biological male, there's no point in me going out of my way to say, by the way, I think you're actually a dude, you know? Like, this is like, what do I gain from that? Eli, the computer guy, talked about this too. I'm going to steal Eli's take, not Destiny's. Eli, the computer guy, said, like, if I bring my dog to a vet and the person there is a trans person, am I really going to argue the semantics of calling you he versus she if you would prefer to be called she? My dog is sick and may die. You want to save my dog so that you can make $3,000. I want you to save my dog because I love my dog. We're both working towards the same goal, which is saving the dog. So, like, is it if you're doing everything that you're supposed to do and you're being humble and kind and polite and prim and proper to me, why can't I just fucking call you she? Like, is it going to fucking kill me to do that? Probably not. If you're a decent human being, then I really have no reason to. Now, if somebody puts a gun in my head and says, you must call me this. There was this professor, I forget his name. He was a professor at NYU, and somebody demanded that that the pronoun be your majesty, and the person was claiming that your majesty was a gender. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like, fuck out of here. Or if somebody it's like trying to put a gun to my head and say, you must call me this pronoun or else. If you do not call me this pronoun, I will, I will get you removed for hate speech. But again, that's different. That's somebody starting by being an asshole. But if somebody just shows up and is nice, like, I really have no problem with that. And there are a bunch of people that say, oh, you're some liberal leftist New York City cuck for saying that. No, I don't see that as being a cuck. I don't see that as being a liberal. I just see that as being a decent fucking human being and not being an asshole. I don't see a need to be an asshole for no fucking reason. But when it comes, again, I don't give a shit like what you identify as, anything like that. I don't mind calling you by whatever you feel like being called by. I don't give a shit. You do you. It's not really my business. But yeah, the sports thing is different. It's like, use whatever bathroom you want. I don't give a shit. Like, be whatever gender you want. I don't give a shit. But the sports thing gets weird to me because it always seems to be biologically born men transitioning to becoming transgender women that are doing the sports thing, not the other way around. But B, if you were, we don't have the technology to undo you growing up as a biological man. Like, I don't think the technology exists to just make it seem like you were not born and grew up with testosterone. So if you want to become a boxer or a sprint runner or everything else, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that. But that's that. And let's read. Can we get a quick about? Let's see. Holy shit, 800 live viewers. Wow. I'm very curious what they would think of my oil and inflation take from 15 minutes ago, if they would rewind. Now that I have a new audience, welcome members of Daliban. I'm very curious what you think of that. DGG is probably all subbed anyhow. I doubt that. Let's see. What do you think of the internet becoming a utility like electricity? I think that we kind of got screwed over in America by a bargain from the 20s or the 30s where I think the way it went was, okay, we will give you a regional monopoly over having telephone service in this area. In exchange, you have to wire everybody's house. I think that we did that because we thought that everybody wouldn't get wired. The problem is you now have these regional monopolies that give you absolute dog shit service. And I don't really know how you get out of that. I can't believe Destiny harassed this poor innocent small streamer. Yes, I feel very harassed. I feel very harassed. Somebody should ban him from Twitch. What is this stream about? I don't know. Like the stream, you wonderful. What are your thoughts on Putin saying USA is canceling Russia like woke people canceling J.K. Rowling? How many tanks has J.K. Rowling rolled into another country? I don't think J.K. Rowling has rolled tanks in any other countries. So I don't think it's a proper analogy. Would you do this for other things too, though? Like, what if instead of the gun thing with gender, it was name instead? Would you intentionally call them the wrong name? Can you give me an example? Because I don't think I'm following. Maybe that's just because it's really late. When you go through puberty as a man, there are some things that just can't be reversed. Again, if once technology changes, again, I really do believe that like in 200 or 500 or 800 years, or maybe even 50, who knows, the technology will be such that you can just take this pill and it will just undo whatever testosterone did to your entire body. When that happens, sure. But until that day, it's going to be an iffy thing for me. How goes right to repair at the Onewheel? I don't think that they're going to be able to run from this. Apple has enough of a cult fan base that they can pretend they don't exist for the next 20 years and be just fine, and they have enough money to destroy any right to repair legislation that comes at them. But I don't think Onewheel has that luxury. They don't. Their fan base are different people fundamentally. Their fan base are people that enjoy this very, very niche industry that is very, very pro-modding, because it's not just like you're buying a laptop computer that's really just marketed to people that are not fully... I'm a FTM, female to male. I do boxing, wrestling with guys. I've won plenty of times. FTMs can compete after 6 months on T. I would be curious to learn more about that. There's a woman that my martial arts instructor shows to people. She's like 15 or 16 years old. She's like 100 pounds, and if you're not a black belt in martial arts, she'll absolutely just destroy you. It is possible, but on aggregate, I don't know. I forget who. I think it was Fallon Fox. Was it Fallon Fox and Ronda Rousey? I forget who it was a few years ago. I remember seeing pictures from that, and it just it freaked me out a bit. Demanding we guess your pronouns is selfish and entitled. Well, I just kind of avoided it. Like, again, it wasn't that hard for me to just avoid going for he or she there. Recliner Essence plus 1,000. Thank you, John. If your guy in a Tesla shirt comes into your store, do you call him a fanboy like you do in your videos? No, I don't call people with a Tesla shirt a fanboy in my videos. I call people that go out of their way to defend a company regardless of what they do a fanboy. That has nothing to do with the t-shirt you wear. But I can tell that you're salty and probably a fanboy. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alex. A female that transitioned to a man would dominate the gymnastic floor routine since they would be lighter. I never thought of it that way. It'd be a real shame if something bad happened to Spectrum in New York City. Oh, don't get me started. Why don't you have a better couch setup for keyboard and mouse? Because a couch is not better. A couch is inferior. Also, I could probably out-type you on this. I would type eraser you on the setup any day. This is a Microsoft 600 keyboard. I'll murder you in type eraser. Love my regional monopoly for internet. Sweet, 1 gigabit fiber for 120 with no downtime. Thanks for your Onewheel video. I almost bought one the other night. I'm glad you changed your mind. Right to Repair is awesome. Thanks for fighting for us all. I'm sorry I haven't won anything yet. I feel like I haven't really done anything for Right to Repair in the past 10 years. I've lost 100% of the battles that I fought. Hopefully that changes at some point. What are your thoughts on the Framework laptop? It's a great machine. I wish I had not gotten it stolen 6 months ago. I call basically everyone dude, and every once in a while from someone from work or friends will be upset. I think it's not because you're misgendering them, but rather because you sound like a surfer. Thank you for the lobbying work you've done. Oh, thank you. I thought you moved. I can't explain that over and over again. I get tired explaining the same thing over and over again. The term mate is our ticket out of the pronoun wars in Australia. Yeah, but we don't. I guess that's Australian privilege right there. What's wrong with Tesla? The way they treat their customers and the build quality on a lot of their products. Do you think Americans should drive smaller cars before they're allowed to complain about gas prices? I mean, that's a part of it. There's a lot of people that buy a truck that I've never, ever, ever seen them actually hauling anything in their life. But that's a separate issue altogether. Even people that are driving smaller cars are going to be affected when things over double in price. I do martial arts. I never trained with a woman who could challenge a trained man. I don't know. A woman who is a black belt challenging a dude that's just started training for 4 months, she's gonna wipe the floor with him. You should consider playing League. Certain streamer got banned from Twitch after stopping playing League. Yo, you guys are fucking with Destiny a little too much here. Can't keep answering the same question, Louis Spin. Not 1.7 million times. I'm not your mate, buddy. I'm not your buddy, pal. Please go on the David Pakman show. Sure, I'd love to. Make it happen. You can. My email is lewis@fighttorepair.org, and I'll happily do interviews with people like that. You support gun rights? Yes, I do. My old state, they only support gun rights for criminals, but I have no problem with it. I sent a hard drive to your shop for data recovery. Within 3 hours of it being delivered today, Shane emailed that it was ready. I expect a good service, but this blew me away. Major kudos. That is because my repair business is dying, and since it has no customers anytime something comes in, there's 12 people very much so waiting to jump on anything that shows up. I appreciate the compliment, but I can't accept it as a sign that I run an amazing shop. I run a business that is in the shitter, and as a result of it being in the shitter, there is, there's really fast turnaround time right now for just about everything. You might even have 2 or 3 people working on the same repair. Let's see. Dominic, I watch his stuff while I'm doing cardio, and I comment from time to time, and he got my stream rated because he has like 20 times the viewership I do. So I get about 400 live viewers. He gets like 9,000 live viewers. And he sent them here, and 10% of them showed up here. Oh, get out of here, Simon. Get the GTFO. I'll leave that up to you, Jumper. How long did you go to school for? I went to public school for the bare minimum necessary to get out of high school, and I went for a year or 2 to college. I kept failing, and then I dropped out, and then I started doing this. Can you fix my crippling depression? I can't, but you can. You can try. You got to make the decision for yourself. Why is business bad right now? Business sucks right now because I moved to a way more expensive location right as the world economy took a dump, and I personally guaranteed the lease. So, yeah, for 10 years. So I fucking destroyed myself there. I got a few months ago. I got them to agree to a small decrease in rent until September, but that's going to end in September, and I'll be back to being fucked unless I get out of there. There is a clause in it where if I leave, I owe everything that I owe that I was supposed to pay up until the point that I left, but I will not owe anything more afterwards as long as I leave the place in good condition. It's going to be easy to leave the place in good condition because the condition I got it in sucked. We made the floor even, we painted, we upgraded the lights so that they're nicer. But yeah, that's like the stupidest decision I've made in my life. So that it is what it is. I got a couple of things up my sleeve I'm going to try to do to get some more people going there. But yeah, the other thing is how I put this. This is a very specialized field, so if business is slow, you can't just let people go because you're going to need them later. And if you let them go, the competition will immediately snap them up. So if business is slow, even if business is slow, I will pay these people to sit on their ass and scratch their balls rather than go somewhere, because I know the moment that that person has time off, they're fucking going. Like, somebody's going to snatch them up. Some other company is going to snatch them up, because that would mean that they can get the benefit of one of these amazingly performing employees without having to pay for the time of the training. So I would pay Paul or Chris or Dan or Steve or Orhan or Kevin to literally, for a month, 2 months, to literally just sit there and scratch their balls waiting for work to come in the hopes that something happens later, and something always happens later. But it's always kind of nerve-wracking waiting for the something to happen later, whatever it is that causes business to kick up. Excuse me. The main reason it's more nerve-wracking now is my store used to be $3,500 a month. It was like $4,000 or $5,000 a month near the end, and now it's fucking $13,000 a month, and soon to be like $14K. So it's a little bit more nerve-wracking now than it was back in the day. But the point, you can't really just kind of let somebody go if something is slow for a time. I don't know what mind goblins are. What do you think of Forge Gang and Oofy Doofy Theory? I don't know what that is. You've helped my friend out, Danks, during some rough times. Thank you. Thank you, Benny. Right to repair is dangerous. Incorrect. Would your shop be open to getting devices in need of repair from a school district? Yes. That's another thing. A lot of the school districts we used to deal with are doing all the work in town, in-house themselves. I support raising minimum wage when literally nobody is going to accept a job under 11 an hour. It doesn't matter. I think there are a lot of people that would accept a job under $11 an hour, particularly people who want to learn a new field. I have people that tell me that they would want to work at my store for free as an intern just to be able to learn how to do board repair sitting next to me. So I know that there are people that are willing to work for less money if it means they're able to get a skill set. And we used to call that an apprenticeship or an internship, but now we're not allowed to do that anymore. You're supposed to go to college for 4 years and go into debt $80,000 rather than be an apprentice for half a year and actually make a little money rather than go into debt. It's totally acceptable to put somebody in debt for $80,000 and waste 4 years of their life. It is not acceptable to tell somebody, here, while you're learning and while you're kind of useless to me, I'm going to pay you $7 an hour, and then after 6 months or a year, then I'll start paying you 15 or 25 or 30 once you're actually useful to me, which is kind of depressing, but it is what it is. I did not, wise and powerful, thanks. And I don't know what you're getting at, but no. And now you're repeating the same shit over and over, so off you go. Let's see. How'd you get into that field? What field? Get out of New York City. You are to blame. That is retarded. That's actually really retarded. I'm not, like, my staff has been loyal to me for a number of years, and for me to not be loyal to them and just say, hey, I know you stuck with me through all these hard times, and I know that some of you can't move because one of you has a family member with stage 4 cancer, another one of you bought a house, another one of you has, I'm gonna get another staff in another state. Bye. Like, that's actually retarded. You'd make a fucking horrible manager. I don't think anybody would ever want to work for you if they're a quality human being or a quality employee. I think that they would. Yeah, I don't think if you had started a business that you would actually attract people of quality because you lack loyalty. Right to repair is dangerous. That's why Apple is against it. How often do you get noticed in public? A lot, and it's really, really annoying because I'm not that type of person. At the moment I see somebody's eyes start to light up, I just start walking faster because it's fucking weird. When somebody says, hey, I've seen your channel, nice to meet you, that, no problem with. I love that. When somebody's like, oh my God, dude, it's like, get the fuck away from me. It's so weird. It never stops being weird. We aren't weak. We could potentially have the exact same muscle mass and bone density as cis men. You should see me. I can bench 150 in pounding. Yeah, but the women that are not transitioning can't, but they're competing with people that grew up with testosterone. I think that's a big part of the problem. Top Cat. Are you friends with Gary Vee? No. Nobody tell him about mind goblins. I don't know what that means. What do you recommend for someone who is a freshman in college but is undecided and has no motivation? I don't know my talents. You probably shouldn't be in college. You should probably be out there figuring out what your place in the world is. So earlier in the stream, I was talking about how how do I feel about Elon's Neuralink? I don't really give a shit about his vaporware, to be honest with you. I just don't care about his vaporware. I'm not interested in talking about shit that is like 100 years away from actually being usable. Like this again, he's full self-driving will be available in 2 months, several years ago. Like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not like once he can actually get working cars out the door on a regular basis, and not tell people it's going to take 3 to 6 months to have a car fixed that they just got because they don't have, like, no, then we can talk about modifying people's brains. But if you're undecided, we went over this in the very beginning of the stream. If you're undecided and have no motivation, what you really need to do is you need to go out there and get a job, literally any type of job whatsoever, and then figure out where you fit in. So I fit in as a technician. I was not supposed to be a recording studio engineer, but I wasn't able to figure that out until I got an internship at some shitty recording studio where nothing worked, and I figured out that, man, I really suck at recording music. This is not my thing, but I'm really good at fixing all the crap here that nobody wants to pay to get fixed or replaced because they're too cheap. And then I figured out I was decent as a technician, decent at fixing boards, and then I got into doing this. So the way that you're going to figure out what to do with your life is by starting somewhere. Again, just because you get a job at a studio, it doesn't mean that your life path is becoming a musician. Your life path is becoming a recording studio engineer or something like that, or a live sound technician. You have to figure out where you fit in first. And if you're spending all your time in college and you have no idea where you fit in the world, I think that, I don't know. I think that that's going to lead to you in 4 years wondering where the time went, wondering where your money went, and being somewhat disillusioned when you get out and you realize that that piece of paper that you got is not the be-all, end-all to getting a six-figure job that you thought it was. I think once you have a purpose, and you know what you're good at and you know where you fit in the world and you know what you want to do, because you've kind of spent a couple of years in the muck, okay, not knowing where you fit in, but saying, I'm going to try to figure out where I fit in. And then you figure out where you fit in, and then you say, okay, I fit in here. Here's how this specific degree in this specific field would help me to go forward on my life path. Then you'll be set. But just kind of going to college for the fuck of going to college when you're undecided, have no motivation, don't know your talents. I think too many people do that. Is it rude to have a conversation with another person during your AMA? Absolutely not. Does YouTube help financially? Just wondering. I know it brings some dough. It does, but like it's. I have it completely separate from my business because my business has so many other liabilities that it's like it doesn't matter. So my business runs and like it is profitable at this point in time, but it's like again payroll of $15,000 to $25,000 a week, rent of anywhere from $8,000 to $14,000 a month. Like whatever YouTube revenue is literally is nothing in contrast to what the business could make or lose if it's run properly or improperly. So I separate that out entirely. I don't know which smartphone is the easiest to work on. They claim college is supposed to be the most important. Is it really at this point? In my opinion, no, but I'm heavily biased. Can your shop receive mailed-in repairs from any state? Sure, but cracked iPad screen, I'm not the one to do that. There are tons of places that'll do it cheaper and faster than we will. iPad data recovery? Absolutely. iPad screen repair, do that locally. Somebody locally will do it and do it faster and cheaper than I will. That's all. I also, in my opinion, iPad screen repair is not something that's specialized enough that you should have to mail it to another state for. There's probably some dude in your local town that'll do it and do a good job. I would suggest that you support a local business rather than mail it off to New York to support some guy with 1 million subscribers on YouTube at that point. It's not like I'll happily take on the repairs that I know we're the best deal for, that everybody else is avoiding doing. That an iPad screen repair, there's somebody locally that's more than happy to take your money to do that probably needs the money more than I do. Lack of foot traffic is a big part of it, Bragg Hodge. Is it weird that people know your name despite you now having met them? Somewhat. I don't look sick. You have poor eyesight, Alan BR. People are really strange with fame. I don't think I get it. It is weird. Wear a disguise like a private detective. That's smart. There's a fly that's going back and forth between a curtain over there.
Sweet mercy.
Thank you, Marcus. Honestly, all the T-girls I know are not into sports at all, but then remember the girls competing in those media stories are always really, really into their transition. Huh. The ThinkPad L440, I imagine, is one of those ThinkPads that didn't have trackpad buttons. I'm not a big fan of that. You would have to buy the T450 trackpad and put it in there for it to not suck. Who is most at fault in the right to repair issue? Do we blame the tech companies, lawmakers, or consumers? Tech companies first. Lawmakers should have said or done something, but they weren't the ones that were actively pushing for it. And when it comes to consumers, consumers really don't have a choice. So I'll give you an example. If you want to buy a modern smartphone that has some semblance of feeling like a modern smartphone, but you want one where schematics are available, how do you vote with your wallet? How? If you want to buy a laptop where they make the schematics available and it has some semblance of being a modern laptop, which laptop do you buy where they make schematics available? Vote with your wallet. Go for it. Which one? You can't, because there's no option. There's a lot of different areas where there's no option. If you want to vote with your wallet, the way you vote with your wallet is by closing it and being a Luddite and not accepting new technology entirely. And that's a big part of the problem, is that the time to vote with your wallet was, 30 or 40 years ago, but people didn't know that it was happening. But now that they know it's happening, it's a little too late. My friend keeps quitting jobs because he deals with some anxiety. What should I tell him regarding his career or life? What's giving him anxiety in his life? What I like to do is I always just kind of like to go, tell me more. Tell me more. So what I would do is say, tell me more about the anxiety you're having at work. What is it that's making you anxious? What is it about that situation that's making you anxious? Let's discuss it a little more. So what do you think would happen? So let's say it's this confrontation that's making you anxious. So let's go over the 5 ways that this could, what is the worst possible thing that can happen if this confrontation occurs? Worst possible thing. Let's go through every single scenario, the best possible, the worst possible, and talk it out. I wish more people would just say, tell me more when somebody spoke. You're critical of Tesla's products. What are your thoughts of Ford's EVs and their success? They're not bad. I just wish they would have a better solution for piping of different fluids. I forget who did a teardown video of the cooling system they have. It really doesn't look like it's made a very efficient use of the space. It's obviously a first-generation electric vehicle. I hope Ford has continued success with their electric vehicles. Thanks for your work in New England with Right to Repair. You're a one-man army. Thank you, Jay Banks. What time do you wake up every morning? 7 a.m. If I'm feeling like a bum, 9:45. I can't sleep very long. It's very difficult for me to stay asleep. So the moment that my eyes open, I'm up, regardless of whether I want to go back to sleep or not, or I'm tired. So the moment that I open my eyes, I am up. Reminds me of university. I took a language in teaching, even though I hate teaching. I kick myself every day since I could have taken business and language. Now I'm happy in IT. Yeah, I think a lot of people need to spend a couple of years just kind of browsing around before they do that. But there's this stigma associated with it, which is that if you don't go straight to college, that you're a bum. And that causes people to go straight to college rather than figure out what their place in the world is first. What are your thoughts on social media companies and their TOS? I think this whole shit of having like 900-page TOS and legalese that nobody is ever going to be expected to read is kind of BS, but I don't know how you get around that. Thank you, mayonnaise. I hope you're keto, mayonnaise. Unfortunately, some do, Fredward. Unfortunately, some do. I already went over the Steam Deck thing 3 times this stream, unfortunately. College engineering degrees. Isn't it knowledge you couldn't get elsewhere? I think, yeah, but a lot of people that go for engineering degrees, do they actually want to be an engineer? Well, firstly, I have more respect for the engineering degrees than I do for a lot of the, just nonsensical degrees out there. But if you are the people that are actually going for the engineering degrees people that specifically want to be engineers, or are they just going for it? I would still stand behind figure out where you fit in the world first before you go to college. But that may not work for you. That's just my thought. I just entered management in a now large company. I started as an IC integrated circuit 7 years ago. Could you share what's helped you build a motivated team and continuing to beyond money and responsibility mid-long term? Well, one of the things that's helped me build a motivated team is stealing people from other companies where they know what it's like to not have freedom, where they know what it's like to get yelled at for things that are not their fault, where they know what it's like to say, hey, this is a problem, and then have it ignored, and then just do what I wish somebody would have done when I worked at that same company. So everybody here kind of realizes what's waiting out there. I think everybody here understands what it's like to work somewhere else because they have worked somewhere else where what they say doesn't matter. where they, their boss really is just, instead of, again, like anytime Paul needs a new soldering iron tip, even if it's like a $200 or $400 item, he can just buy it. There's no questions asked. I'm not going to second guess his decision. When I worked at Laptop MD, Arthur's partner literally gave me sandpaper. Like he had a $5 Radio Shack soldering iron, and when the tip was so destroyed that I couldn't get it to work, I couldn't clean it no matter what I did, they fucking handed me sandpaper. And when people who worked there come to work here, they remembered that experience and they see the difference. And what's motivating is the fact that they are in an environment where they are respected. But the thing is, they understand that for that environment to continue, they have to do good work. That if they do a shit job, if they do the bare minimum, they're not going to have that freedom anymore because I won't have the financial ability to offer it to them. So it kind of keeps, I think what keeps people on top of things here is realizing how bad it is everywhere else and realizing that the way every other place does business could become how this place does business if we don't keep things viable as it is. So if you guys want to play basketball in the middle of the day, that's totally fine. You guys want to have a Nerf war? That's totally fine. You guys want to goof off every now and then? I have no problem with it. Show up 5 minutes late, who gives a shit? However, the moment that work stops getting done, it'll become just like every other hellhole that, pays minimum wage and treats everybody like shit because it will have to for the viability of the business. So this is incentive structure here, I think, to value freedom because that freedom is provided by the fact that we are the best at what we do. And when I say the best, use Google Maps. Like, no, just use Google Maps, search MacBook repair, zip code 10001. Do a 30-mile radius. Best rated. For a reason. We have the best staff. And we have the best staff because they're free. I'm currently negotiating my first commercial lease. Any tips? It's for an industrial space, but I still value your input. You're going to have to be willing to walk away, even if it's really great. They're not going to take you seriously unless you're 110% willing to walk away. I hate this shit. I hate this is how it works. Unfortunately, this is how it works. This is not just how it works in getting a lease. This is also how it works with dating, which is really weird that I picked up my phone for a specific message right as I said that. Anyway, I'm not going to touch that. Needless to say, you need to be willing to walk away when you don't get the terms that you're looking for, and it's really interesting how much more they will respect you. Sounds like agency to find solve problems is efficient resource is a big part of the equation. Thanks for the perspective. IC equals independent contract. Should have realized the overlap. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really what it is. I think you put it more succinctly than I did. But when it comes to negotiating a lease, you need to be willing to leave. Like there was this one place, this restaurant, right? They wanted $10,000 a month. And they said, listen, we're not even going to give you one free month. It's very common in New York City, especially for places that are shitholes like that were left in garbage fucking condition. That place was left in garbage condition. It needed so much work to give you 1 month free. My place that I have now, they gave me 2 months free, I think. And the new one, they gave me 1 month free. So here's the thing. When I walked away, not only did they give me 6 months free, but they lowered the rent from $10,000 to $9,000. And I didn't take it because it still wasn't worth it because I thought this place was better. But the point is, I needed to walk away for that to happen. And I hate that that's how it works. It's the same thing with like getting friend zoned when you're like if there's a woman you like. Like there may be a woman that's like, you know what, I like you, blah blah blah, but I see you as a friend. It's like, it's been great. Had a great time with you. Thank you for being honest with me. It's been great. You put on your shoes and you fucking leave. And what happens when that happens? Oh no, maybe I think I could see you as more. I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah. A few weeks later, but I don't like that it works this way. I really would like to just kind of be honest. I would like to say, this place is worth this. Can I just get the price that it's worth? Can you give me a few months to actually rebuild it? Because you and I both know this place is filled with cockroaches, needs a bunch of construction, and looks like shit. No, we're not doing that for anybody. Bye. And then they'll come back to you. It happens to me constantly. It's happened to me with this shit has happened to me with relationships. It has happened to me with commercial real estate. It has happened to me with business deals. It's happened to me when doing, mass orders for buying screens, 1,000 or 600 at a time. It happens with everything. It's just kind of, if right to repair never gets passed, how long do you think the repair industry would last its current rate? Repair of what, though? I think, I would say 12 years. That's my guess. How do you deal with stress? Work. If there's work to do, then I can't be stressed because I don't have the mental capacity to handle too much at the same time. Most workplaces don't give a fuck about their employees to ask to take care of their staff. It's not because you care about your employees that you care about them. It's because you care about your business. I'm not a good person. I'm not this like fucking Mother Teresa of business. Not that I should be saying Mother Teresa when it's Teresa that asked this. That kind of sounds weird because I'm kind of calling myself her mother. But you get the point of the analogy. It's because I care about myself. What do you think of the new Steam Deck and Valve? Oh, you just asked that. Come on. Okay. It was totally Sandy Monroe that did the 40V teardown. That was it. That was him. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with that. What do you think about TikTok? Never used it before. I don't understand it. I'm too old. What's more annoying, abbreviations or virtue signaling? Abbreviations, because they're doing both at the same time. A lot of abbreviations are saying, look at how smart I am, that I know what this is and you don't. I'm so sophisticated. I use acronyms. How should I stay motivated when I have no projects, when I have a very project-based mind and tend to work better under other people? Find people to work under that are going to give you something to do. Have you been drinking? Yes, I've been drinking Aquafina. This is a free bottle of water, by the way. They taste better when they're free. What do you think? Thoughts on the Hunter Biden leaked laptop and how the information was acquired from a repair shop? I did a video on that 2 years ago, and that was that. Yeah, I don't have any new thoughts from my video that I did in 2020. Have you ever been shocked or electrocuted? By a Pultec with over 300 volts, and that sucked. I think it was a Pultec EQP1. What do you think of Eli's midlife crisis? I don't think it's... I don't... Listen. Okay, so he's had to change careers, and his wife's had 2 or 3 cancers. Like, I mean, honestly, to make fun of him is just kind of an asshole thing to do, in my opinion. If I had to change careers at the exact same time that my wife had 2 cancers, I would probably have killed myself or jumped off a bridge. I don't, like... I don't... I think 99% of the people that will type midlife crisis into his chat have not gone through all the shit that he does, and honestly are just not, I don't know. I like Eli. I respect him a lot as a YouTube mentor and for his advice, and I don't want to engage in that shit. I wish the best for Eli. I really do. He's a good guy. I met him in person, and he's a good guy in person as well. Thanks for the right to repair advocacy. I like the simple and straightforward approach for explaining what it is, even with angry, frustrated Lewis. Thank you, Lucian. Is it dangerous if I've been refilling the same Dasani water bottle at work for the past 2 years? Should I clean it or get a new one? If it's plastic, I wouldn't do that. I have a metal water bottle that I use that I refill all the time. I did not see that, Oscar. A lot of people have linked me to it, but I haven't looked at it yet. Hello, Sonia. How are you doing? Yeah, but if you look after people who work for you, they get shit done properly because they aren't being treated like shit. Correct. I am not, I don't try to be, I don't know, I don't try to treat people better because I'm a good person. I do it because I want my company to not be run like shit. How do you escape being consumed by work? I feel like it's the only thing I do well and I neglect everything else. You got to escape from time to time. I don't know. Rent an apartment in another state, drive 400 miles away, and look at the sunset out the window. Do something completely random and out of touch with some of the money that you made as a result of working 15 hours a day instead of 8. What do you look for before buying electronic devices these days? If it's a cell phone, I look for 3 things. Does it have a micro SD card slot? Does it have a headphone jack? Does it fit in my hand? And if it doesn't do all those things, I don't buy it. Now, because the Samsung S10e is the only phone that does that, I do not have the ability to purchase another phone. I'll never be able to purchase another phone. Ever. Because this is the only thing that does all those things. So that's that. Any plans of visiting Maine? I went to Maine in 2020. It is beautiful, and there was some nice people there. I'm never going to forget this one moment where there was a person who had emailed his politician who he had just figured out was his actual neighbor, and about right to repair, and the politician said, and I quote, I'm not going to say who it was because I want to be nice, I haven't figured out how to set up my government email since I got elected, so I didn't read it. And he was a bit on the more elderly side. So the gentleman said, how about this? I come over to talk about right to repair, we have some tea, and I set up your government email for you so you could read my email. Oh, that was funny. How do you differentiate between being gaslit and being paranoid? I don't. There were a lot of my mother was paranoid over everything all the way up until her death, And my grandmother was too. She actually wound up having a stroke brought on by constant anxiety that she had for 20 years. And I do think that I have a little bit of that as well. So I'm paranoid about a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be. One of the things that I try to do is I keep a journal. And one of the things I notice is that it's very difficult for me to tell in the moment if I'm being irrationally paranoid or anxious about something. But if I journal it and then I read it the next day, it's easier for me to kind of start picking it apart and telling, okay, this is real. No, this is bullshit. You're out of your mind. So journaling helps me a lot. I journal a lot. And I need to do that to stay grounded. Am I booming hard, or what's the reason you have micro SD card as a must-have? I mean, if I'm going to spend money on a phone, I want to be able to fit my entire music collection on it. I want to be able to fit my video collection on it. Like if I want to say, look at this video of Mr. Clinton from 2013, I want to just be able to scroll to it and click it. I have my entire music collection stored on that I've had from the age of 13, and I see absolutely no reason to be limited. So here's the thing. If a phone came with a micro SD card slot last year, why should I pay the same amount of money this year and not have it? You need to sell me on that. I'm serious. You need to sell me on why you're taking away a feature. So if I had it last year on the $600 phone, then why do I not have it this year on the $1,000 phone? Sell me. Oh, you have no sales pitch? Then fuck you. Like, again, what's the point of taking something away for no good reason? Same thing with the headphone jack. Like, you have to sell me on why you took something away for no good reason. Like, so with the headphone jack, for instance, most of the time I don't use headphones with headphone jack. I have a microphone that plugs into my phone. It's a little shotgun microphone, so when I'm doing videos outside, I can use it. I used it a lot for the real estate series I was doing. It plugs in over here. Now, sometimes my phone's battery will be almost dead, but I'll want to do a video with the microphone. So what I do is I plug it into an external battery via USB-C so it charges, and then I plug the microphone in over there. Now, even if I get a USB-C microphone, I can't charge the phone and the microphone plugged in at the same time. Now, you may say, well, who's going to use it like that? Well, I've used it like that, but more importantly, sell me on what I gain from that functionality being taken away from me. Do I get a discount? No, the phone's fucking more expensive. Samsung makes their phones that don't have micro SD card slots and don't have headphone jacks more expensive than the ones that do. It makes no sense. You're not getting anything better. Shout out to the millwrights of the world. Right to repair is king in an industry that still uses relay-based logic controllers. Trade school is way better than college. I agree with you on the latter. I don't know enough to know about the former, but I will look into it. I was under the impression the headphone jack removal was the trade-off for increased waterproof rating, which is super important to me. Why is this waterproof? This is a liquid-resistant phone. This Samsung S10e is very liquid-resistant. It has a headphone jack and a micro SD card slot. The Samsung S5 was very liquid-resistant. Guess what it has? User-replaceable battery, micro SD card slot, and headphone jack. You have been propagandized. And it's okay, because the propaganda works on a lot of people. Everybody gets propagandized, but the thing is, you can always be depropagandized. Not only does this thing still survive water with the headphone jack, but after I replaced my own battery, I don't know if you can even see it from here, I did a horrible job of resealing it, like absolutely horrible job of resealing it. It still survives rainstorms when I take it out. That's how liquid resistant this thing is. That I fucked with it, and I opened the back of it, and it's still very liquid resistant. Foo Fighters drummer died. Oh, that sucks. If you had 40K captive viewers right now, but only for 1 minute, what would you say? Love your work. 1 year left of engineering uni. Thank God. If I had 40,000 captive viewers, what would I say? 2 things. A, consider helping somebody fix something if you know how to fix it, and it will save them money or teach them how to make money so that they could experience a happy kick of dopamine that you get when you make something work again. And B, I think that people should have ideas. Ideas shouldn't have people. And if you find yourself saying things on a regular basis that all just kind of go down one line of the political spectrum, if you think one thing and then you just say 42 other things that just kind of go down the exact same line, really think about whether those are your ideas or somebody else's ideas living through you. And if they are, ask yourself why. What sectors of tech industry do you recommend pursuing? I have no idea, man. I'm in literally the worst section there is. Like break fix of consumer hardware is probably the stupidest thing to get into if you want to make money. And yet here I am continuing to do the same thing. How do you deal with a passive aggressive boss? You quit. It's not your job to fix people. It's not your job to fix people. So what you do is you leave. It's the same thing. Again, it's in work, dating, anything else. Like it's not your job to fix other people. How do you? It's the exact same thing. How would you deal with a passive aggressive girlfriend? Like, bye. How do you deal with a passive aggressive boss? Bye. There's again. There's 300 million people in this country. You know, you put in the work and effort to surround yourself with the ones that don't suck. I was a DJ for 10 years before I went to Corp. Curious if you ever reflect on your audio history with Demise regarding finding the relevance and value in your past, no matter what it is. I look at it every now and then and wonder if I had stayed at Avatar, if I would have been happier. And in the beginning, I really thought I did the wrong thing. Now I think I definitely did the right thing by quitting and going else. We take a phone with 1 terabyte of storage but no SD. I don't know. I kind of like being able to take it out of my phone. You'd have to sell me on why. Here's the thing. If you want to make the storage not removable, you got to sell me why. Why'd you take the micro SD card slot out? What do I get in return for that? So you took a feature away, right? So if you took the feature away, excuse me, sorry about that. If you took the feature away, explain to me what I get for getting, you know, in return. And if you can't explain it to me, then go away. Nothing is truly waterproof long way. Maybe some of those rugged phones are, but listen, the cell phone, Android and iPhone data recovery section of the store is too fucking busy for me to believe that any of this shit is truly waterproof. But they don't advertise it as waterproof. They advertise it as water resistant. Two things I admire about Sandy Monroe is he's self-trained automotive engineer and he calls car companies on their BS, including Tesla. Interesting. I like the video he did where he was telling, where when they were going after Tesla, he said they should fix Iraq first and then go after Tesla. That was a very interesting video that he did. Very, very somewhat entertaining. What's your favorite band or music? Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies, Tori Amos, Little Earthquakes. Love me some Tori Amos. Tori Amos is great. Tori Amos makes me happy. Okay, it's about time for me to get out of here. I'm about to get out of here. It was a pleasure having you all here. It was a pleasure doing this live stream this evening on this Friday night. I hope you'll have a lovely rest of your Friday night. Don't get too drunk. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. And thank you very much to the members of the Dolly Band that rated this stream. It was a pleasure having you by. I hope you'll stick by for some interesting right to repair stuff and other random things that we go over on this channel. Feel free to leave a comment in this stream telling me what you'd like to see more from this channel and what made you actually show up here to begin with. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And tomorrow, we'll be going over yet another thing that Future Motion did with their Onewheel product that makes me very interested in the fact, it's just very cynical of the fact that they say that you can't replace your battery, because if you are able to replace your battery, you don't understand. These products are specially engineered for safety, and you may screw something up, because there's actually a lot of evidence out there, and I do mean a lot of evidence, that they actually burn a connector off from the inside because they were designed so poorly, because they're using something that looks like a fucking laptop fan header for charging a lithium-ion battery. They make some really shit products, and we're going to keep digging into them on this channel. Anyway, see y'all later. Bye now. Oh, and fuck you, Twitch, for banning Destiny.